On Daniel's channel. We are here with the Q&A show. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Okay, make sure you hit the like button. It is free. Okay, hit the like button. It is free. Make sure you subscribe to all the people that's on this panel right now. I do appreciate you guys tuning in. If you are part of the Patreon, Anton dropped a notification regarding the next Patreon meetup, which is in DC. December 28th. And if you are going, make sure you RSVP so he knows the number of people that is attending. And it's at the Moxie. If you weren't there last year at the Moxie, it was a great vibe, great rooftop. Good. I think we had over 100 people show up last time. It was great. And it's good weather out there in DC. But make sure you RSVP in there, how many people you're bringing, whatever. But how are you guys doing this weekend? I mean, not this weekend. Yeah. How are y'all guys doing on panel?
Doing good.
Doing great.
Some new people, so be nice, chat. Be nice, okay? Okay. So a lot's been going on in the news. I don't know if you guys saw the LA riots and all that, but we're gonna start off with talking about that. Okay. So if you don't know what we're talking about, I'm gonna show you a clip of what's been going on with the migrant riots in Los Angeles past couple of days, and we'll get talking about that.
The anti-ICE protest in Los Angeles heating up after President Trump deployed National Guard troops bypassing California Governor Gavin Newsom. The demonstrations first starting after immigration authorities conducted a series of sweeps, arresting more than 100 people on Friday. LA's police chief says most of the protests in the city have been peaceful. He calls the scattered violence disgusting.
Moments ago, well, there's some projectiles being thrown. Just moments ago, a motorcycle seemed to try to break through the police skirmish line.
Protesters at one point shutting down the 101 freeway. Apparent flashbangs going off as police work to reopen the major roadway.
All down there just tearing up shit, just tearing down the whole Los Angeles for no fucking reason, bro. Just let me know y'all really don't give a fuck about these people. The fact that you niggas sat down there and destroyed the Kobe and Gigi mural, bro. Just let me know, bro. I don't give a fuck about y'all no more, bro. Dude, bro, y'all use situations like this just to go around fucking town burning it up. Now, what the fuck is y'all burning and destroying shit for in the goddamn city? And it's truthfully, it's only Mexicans, because them the only people down there. Y'all down there burning down cars and shit, fucking waving the Mexican flag and shit. Like, bro, what is you doing? If you love Mexico so bad, go the fuck back, man.
I mean, what do you guys think about the video? Who wants to talk on it first?
I agree with him. Take your ass back where you came from. It is so disrespectful to come to the United States of America and wave another flag talking about F America. Well, if Mexico is so good, go back to your country, wherever you came from, Venezuela, Ecuador, Nigeria. If America is so bad, what you here for? Why? You should be waving the American flag. This is how we know they're not here to assimilate. They're here to take over and make America the proper way of their country, but they're too lazy and too inept to fix their own problems. And this is how I know that the Democrats were really trying to import voters, saying that they're being peaceful when they're burning cop cars, blocking the freeway, looting, fighting in the street. There is nothing peaceful about it. And I wish that they would really get a hold of this situation before it gets really out of hand. So that's my take.
Okay. Anybody disagree with her?
You better not.
No. When is it Whitey's turn?
Yeah.
Send in the Marines.
I mean, I think that the left has put a battery in these people's backs. I mean, the victim mentality is I mean, for some reason we entertain the victim mentality these days. The left they wave the #1 flag for it. And I feel for people to feel that type of confidence. I mean, that was in California, right? Yeah, they're not gonna do that. They're not gonna do that stuff in a red state. I mean, let's think about it, because at the end of the day, what we've learned, especially from this last election, right? We've learned that victim mentality, for some reason, people are jumping on that boat right now. And those people that have the courage to do that on American soil, you say all the time, people are fighting to get into America. No one's fighting to get away. And those people that feel the courage to do that, it's most likely because of what is being entertained, especially in this day and age right now. A lot of stuff that's trending on social media now, this victim mindset, victim mentality. And that's why these people feel the courage to be able to do that on American soil. I mean, I feel like, and we've seen that in the election this year. The election is what empowered these the victim, and I'm so against the victim mentality. So when I see that stuff, it's kind of angering, honestly. And I feel like if you're here in America, if you're a patriot for America, if you really want to be here, do it the right way, do it the American way. All right, get your voter status right. I came here. I had my green card. Everyone laughs at you when you come to America with a green card, right? And I had my green card, and guess what? I became a citizen. I did it the right way. And I tell people the time.
How do you get a green card?
So when I came to America, my dad was already. I played basketball. So my dad, when I came over here, I came to live with my dad when I was 16. And when you're here for a certain amount of years, you're automatically eligible to get a green card. You're automatically eligible once you have your green card to get a citizenship. So I eventually got married, and people think I got married and got my citizenship by that. No, I got my citizenship just because after I was getting married, because I was able to be here after a certain amount of time. So I did it the right way. I went to go get my documents. I got my social security number way earlier. I worked hard. I took the test. I did everything the right way. And I feel like if you come over here illegally, you shouldn't be comfortable illegally. You should be coming over here to do the right thing, get things documented the right way. And if you've overstayed your welcome, that. Anytime you get caught, you've overstayed your welcome. How are you going to complain when you do things illegally? And I think that's where the left goes wrong. They forget that if someone's doing something illegal, that's it. You're doing it illegal. Point blank, period.
If you're scared for some reason, it's because you did something wrong. That's it.
So wait, you get a green card after you get married?
No. I got my green card because I was 16 years old and my dad was a citizen here. So when I moved over here, I was eligible to get my green card because of my age. After having it at that time, things have changed probably. I had it for 8 years, I believe. And then I was eligible to go get my citizenship. But it took me about 3 years after that to then eventually go get my citizenship. And then I became a citizen in 2015. So I've been a dual citizen now for Great Britain and for America since 2015. But I did it the right way.
Congratulations.
So it didn't have anything to do with getting married.
Yeah.
No.
I got you.
And I think that's the part that people are missing, is that just like how you gave your story, you did it within a span of probably like 10 years or so, 10, 11 years or so. I was seeing stories, people were here for 30 years and never even got a green card.
Yeah, the worst part, they don't even try to learn our language. That's why I really don't feel bad. When I'm supposed to pick these people up and they recording it and they're like, no habla inglés. I'm like, take her ass on. Because how could you be here for literally decades and not even know how to
even try
have small talk? That means you don't even respect this country or the people. You just here to have a free ride. So yeah, I just think that that's wildly disrespectful. Here for years and not even trying to become an actual citizen, but just to blend in and take whatever resources that you can. It's
have
just,
babies.
Exactly. I mean, hunting like wild animals in the forest just to secure their position here. It just doesn't make sense. It's not to mention that the birthright, correct me if I'm wrong, but I just learned this year that the birthright citizenship was really for Black Americans, not for anybody in other places. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Who do you guys think put a battery in the back of these migrants though? Like, you don't think Americans?
Joe Biden, the liberal governors,
Yeah,
congressmen and women,
liberal.
Everyone that entertains victim mindset. Here's the thing, right? I think what people have to realize is you got facts and feelings, right? Feelings are important when building relationships, connecting with people in your life. But when it comes to building a country and building leadership, end of the day, you got to go to the facts. You got to go to the things that are foundational. And what I think is the left argues to utilize feelings to make things pass over the line. Where most people, we say, okay, hey, what are the facts? You have to, when you do something illegal, if you stole money for 5 years and we said nothing to you for 5 years, and all of a sudden we said, hey, you're stealing money, excuse me, can you stop stealing it? And now we're complaining, oh my God, but I've already been stealing it for 5 years. Why would you now tell me to stop stealing money? Bro, you've been stealing the money. Like, it doesn't, like, why are we even discussing this? And I think for some reason, and I've got other thoughts because of some of the other things the left is doing that now make people think feelings are good enough to make sense. And now it starts to leak into this migrant situation because there's some other stuff. I don't know if we're going to discuss that. There's some other stuff going on that now is being justified. And now it leaks into any type of thing that the liberals bring up, the left side brings up, they think is now justified because they think feelings. We're getting to a place now where feelings are now starting to be, people are trying to make feelings govern the world or govern America. When end of the day, feelings are important, but not for documentation, not for doing illegal things.
Y'all not getting to the core root of the problem, but I'm gonna let y'all cook for a minute, and then I'm gonna.
Yep. Sure.
Y'all overthinking it, and y'all trying to make sense of it. But the reality of it is, and the brass tacks of it is, the minute that we start empowering women to have a choice in what happens and started pushing for them to start to participate more in what we got going on here in the United States of America, is when we started to see the liberal party become what it is. What y'all don't understand, and I don't know how old y'all are, but the Democrats today and what they consider liberalism or democratic policy is completely different than what it was in the 80s and even the 90s. This was something that they advocated against. This wasn't even an issue that we separated ourselves based off of politics. Republicans and Democrats they both agreed that we needed to close off our borders. They both agreed that we shouldn't have illegal migrants coming over into the country. As a matter of fact, I played videos of Nancy Pelosi back in early 1994, 93, 94, of where she was saying exactly, word for word, exactly what Trump is saying today. And that even we needed to renegotiate our trade deals and that we needed to put tariffs on China. Literally word for word of what Trump is saying today. And so the minute that we started to empower women more to have a say-so politically, and see you, baby, good night. We started to empower women more to have a say-so politically. We started to see the downfall of America. And it's the same thing that's happening across the world. If you look at what's happening over in Mexico right now, you see Claudia Sheinbaum. Now She's a president of Mexico. You see female leadership starting to take place over in the EU. You see female leadership starting to take place over in a lot of these other countries where you had patriarchy. Now, I'm not saying that it's 100% right or everything is great or that we didn't have wars and things like that across the world. And I think that the majority of those wars and the things that we've been experiencing all have been politically motivated in order to continue to keep people's pockets lined. But when we talk about the very core root of what it is that we are as Americans, when you say feelings, for example, Victor, when you talk about feelings, when you talk Laura, I think it's Laura's.
Lowers.
Sorry for mispronouncing your names. When you talk about feelings, when you talk about these things, these are all feminine traits. Everybody has feelings, everybody has emotions, but men are taught, conditioned, groomed to not make decisions based off of emotion and start to make decisions based off of logic, because we can't afford to make these decisions. We can't afford to lose. We can't afford to be number two. We can't afford all of these things. So when I see men today, for example, I see men all the time inside of the chat. I see men jump on these panels. I see men all of the time. I expect it from the women because that's what women do. Women are illogical when they make emotional decisions. But when I see men act like bitches, when I see men act like females, when I see men getting their emotions and try to tell me how we need to acquiesce over to, scent pander, and then continue to try to make sure that they feel good about themselves, it shows me where we are as a nation, as a country. It shows me that we have a lot of single mothers that have created son husbands that make them feel good about it. And it shows me that when I see men that label their women as partners, when I see them following y'all to the polls to continue to vote for Kamala Harris, it gives me some insight into who it is that we've become as a nation and as a people. And even though we did vote in Donald Trump, let's be very clear, there is a lot of people, tens of millions of people that still voted for Kamala Harris, despite the fact that the Democrats have lost their way and become something completely different. When we see who the core is of these parties, when we see who's running, when we see all of these women on social media talking a shit and advocating for illegal migrants, women, black women, white women, all women, and then these men that's following behind them because they want some pussy, that tells me that we've been feminized. And the more that we allow for women to control what happens inside of politics and our households, the further below, the further behind, and the worse off we're going to be as a nation. The core problem is that we've allowed for femininity to take over politics. That's why y'all champion AOC. That's why y'all champion Jasmine Crockett. You don't even see men as the leaders of the Democratic Party no more. Crazy. It's Bernie Sanders because he's aligned himself with AOC. It's not any men. Hakeem Jeffries, they call him a knockoff Obama. They don't even give him any credence. They don't even put a woman in. They say that they had to get the black woman vote, that they had to get the white woman vote in order for Biden to even win the election, which I believe he stole. But regardless, he was the president for him to become the president of 2020, 2021 in the first place. That's how far we've fallen as a nation. We've let women determine what we do and how we move.
But I think that's completely different from femininity. That's just feminism. Feminism is anti-femininity, in my opinion.
No, you're right. You're 100% right. But we champion it, though. We celebrate it. But they did it. They did it. Most of them did it secretly. Even the guys that switched over, they scared to speak and say that what they really did. They so scared. I think you off on that. I don't think they fear y'all at all as black men. They don't fear y'all. They ain't gotta. No, no. It shows because y'all pussy whip, and the women know it. The women know all they gotta do is throw it back for a real one. Y'all gonna shut the fuck up. Y'all gonna shut the fuck up because y'all scared that y'all gonna lose out on some box. Y'all so scared of these women that you're gonna lose out on a little bit of head that you willing to sell out it. The biggest sellouts is dudes that do it for the pussy. I'm telling you ain't gotta worry about race relations, you ain't gotta worry about politics. All you gotta do is throw a fat ass right in front of you, and it's over. Niggas will fall, they'll melt, they'll sell out their homeboy, they'll shoot their partner, they'll do anything that you want them to do. And I said it a long time ago, and I'm gonna say it again. The biggest threat to a man, specifically, especially black men, is a fat ass.
Why is that?
It doesn't even have to be fat. It could be a pretty face too.
No, it's about sexual appetite. He's saying that men are controlled by their sexual appetite instead of their ability to be intellectually responsible. Why do we think that black men, most black men, can be swayed out of doing the right thing, the logical thing?
Because most of us got big dicks and we want to show it to the world.
No, I think it's because the black men they're very scared, and they actually, I feel like there's no sexual discipline in, like, I don't want to even say the black community, like among men in general. Like everyone is just so sexualized. Everyone is just so sexualized. Like there is no discipline. They always want. It's just a lack of thinking, in my opinion. I think I agree with what I actually wanted to say, that I think that the men that are supposed to be men, they are now all, pussy. I don't even say that, like pussy whipped and stuff like that. So it takes away from them actually thinking, because you can really get anything you want if you don't even have to be pretty. Like you don't even have to be fit. All you have to do is have a and they would just do anything. So I mean, there is lack of sexual discipline for sure. That's all of this.
I think part of it too is, and I speak to my wife about this too. I think generally, because I see where Anton is going, because I think generally, no matter how much someone is a feminist, we have to realize that men are held to a higher standard and higher accountability in general. I feel like in different ways, women are held to high accountability. Obviously, when you have a child, the woman is most likely expected to take care of it if something goes wrong. But a lot of the big leadership decisions in life in general, a man can come behind, like Anton said, a man usually would come behind and clean up the mess if a woman left the mess in a large scale. I'm not saying it's the right way. I'm saying women are capable of so many things. I believe women are capable of so much. Trust me, I believe in my wife and all that. But I do feel like there's a certain level of accountability that at the end of the day, men have to, if something hits the fence, men have to pick something up. And in that way, in sense, that's the reason why when sometimes females are in a place of leadership, like for instance, I'll give you an example. For me, I'm a big believer that if Trump had talked exactly how Kamala had talked about him, Trump would have been held to a different level of accountability. To me, I believe Kamala, she poisoned Democrats' mind. She literally told 70 million people that voted for her how much that Trump was going to, be a terrorist or whatever. And then literally, as soon as Trump got nominated, she went into the background and hid, and no one held her accountable to all the stuff that she said, in my personal opinion. If a man would have done that, a man would have been held accountable. I just think naturally in general, men are held to a certain standard in just by a standard. So then when certain women are put in a level of leadership, if something falls between the cracks, if something does become emotional, if something does become not based on actual standards, there's usually going to be a lot of fluidity in that. Now a whole bunch of migrants are feeling they can do this over here or do that over here. Well, when a man comes in place, a man has to say, no, I can't let this happen. Like there's a certain level that we have to not let this thing tremble. That's why most people voted for Trump too, because they knew, okay, what Kamala has going on, we might not like Trump, but at the end of the day, we want this country to survive. And I feel like there's a lot of reason too. So I just think that, yeah, people have a
Nope,
power, women
you're
have
wrong
power too.
again.
But
People voted for Trump. The people that didn't vote for Trump did not vote for Kamala Harris. They voted against Trump. It's the other way around. The people that voted for Trump understand and crave masculinity. Women crave masculinity. The only reason that they are the way that they are is because they haven't been able to get under a man that is super masculine, whether it be their father or somebody else in their life. Women crave leadership. It's just the facts. Most people that voted for Kamala Harris voted against Trump, and most people voted for Trump voted because they crave in leadership and they crave in masculinity again.
But I think the lack of leadership is not going to be the responsibility of women, is it?
It is. It absolutely is.
Because the inability for men to be leaders is going to fall on the responsibility of women.
It's not true, because there's always been a separation between men since the beginning of time. There's been followers. All men are not leaders. There's been followers, and then there's been the problem for women is that we let them choose for themselves. So now y'all have the freedom to choose for yourself versus your family, your father, somebody choosing for you and say, hey, that's your man, that's your leader, or you can't go nowhere until you get married or you stay under my covering, so on and so forth. Now, since y'all have the freedom to choose for yourselves, the community is getting exponentially worse.
I don't think that the conversation about choice, we all have choice. I mean, men and women are supposed to have choice. That's how it's supposed to be. I don't think that men are pining after women or pandering towards women is the reason why there's a lack of male leadership. I think men don't want to step into those roles because we're not breeding the type of caliber of men who are able to fulfill the assignments that are required for these roles. And then we default and we say that it's women's accountability. Look, women, right? And all we hear are men crying about how women can't be held accountable and how women are destructive and how women should do this. But it's a contradiction because we want women to be followers and in a more submissive position. We want women to shut their mouths and not put themselves into leadership roles. And then when we're looking towards the men, like, what do we do? So where's the path? What should we be doing? There's silence. And then when women try to accommodate for that silence, because like you said, women don't have this, like Laurel said, women don't have the same authority as men do. Women don't have the same power to change the world like men do. So the confusion of women or the lack of productivity from women is put on this microscope, like look at how much you've destroyed, but it wasn't our position to begin with. We're fillers. We're trying to accommodate for the lack.
But
I think that there's power though. I think a lot of the times women are the ones that, yes, the man is operating, that is the person that you see, but a lot of the times behind the scenes it's the woman running the show.
Absolutely.
Well, that's why women are support systems. Women are, that's why the quote is behind, like every cliche is valid. Behind every strong man is a strong woman. To say that a woman is an enemy of a man is the reason why society and the climate that we're in now is so destructive, because we're supposed to exist in harmony. It's supposed to be man with a woman supporting him. And to say that that is now wrong is just odd to me. It's just odd how we can even mentally function that way.
No, and I would say this might be a little bit off track of what you're saying, but kind of agreeing with what Anton said. I think at the end of the day, men want to go lead in general, right? The ones that don't want to lead is because they don't know how to still be authoritative, how to still lead and still respect their woman in the place that she has value at the same time. I think some men think they have to give away all their rights to be able to still make a woman happy. They feel like they have to just say, okay, whatever you say, just kind of lead into what Anton said. Some men feel like, okay, happy wife, happy life. I've never been.
So, what would be the solution to that?
The solution to that, I mean, even for me, for me in my life, the solution to that is men just understanding how to communicate. Those men that don't know how to lead, they don't know how to communicate well. Usually, they don't know how to say, "Hey, this is what we're doing. This is the vision I set to lead our family." and hey, in this other situation, you're wrong. Okay, this part you're right. At the same time, men feel like to say someone's right, they have to give up their masculinity and just say, okay, okay, she's right. Okay, you know what, I can't even just like stay grounded in my values now because there's a certain situation which someone else is right. I feel like two people could be right, two things could be right at the same time. Most men don't know how to communicate that well. Most men rather not deal with the stress and say, okay, you know what, I don't even know how to communicate exactly what I'm trying to say right here, because some men aren't masculine enough to communicate well. I think it's a communication issue. A lot of people, I know that you can say anything you want at any single time if you say it the right way, and if you put certain values and standards in place, especially when you go into a relationship. How many men actually establish standards and values in the foundation in their relationship? How many men do that? Not many men do that. They go into it, they get amused by, like what Anton said, the big butts, right? And then down the road, they're like, oh my God, what happened here? Now there's no masculinity there. They haven't set a foundation. Most men are not setting a foundation when they get into certain scenarios. So when situations arise,
I think that they set foundations, but they also don't stand on it, and that's the problem. Like they may have like different boundaries or whatever, but they don't stand on those foundations, and then it's like it just all crumbles. And like you said, before they know it, then it's like, oh my gosh, like where am I right now? But they set standards and then they don't keep up with it. They don't stand on the standards that they set. So they would say like, oh, I don't want you doing this or blah, 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 blah. And then maybe the girl would give him, you know, like a good oral. And then he's like, okay, yeah, you're right. You're good. Go ahead and do this. So it's like no sexual discipline. They're not able to stand on boundaries. They're just very, I don't even want to say feminine because I feel like I don't want to use feminine in a derogatory way, but they're just losers. That's really what I can say.
Izzy presents a good point. I think that men overall are supposed to have an authoritative role. They're supposed to be in these positions, and then when they struggle in these positions, instead of taking accountability for the struggle and figuring out
blame everybody else,
we're going to point a finger and we're going to say, look at what's behind me. Look, see, this is why I can't succeed. And then when women become resentful and say, well, I didn't, you know, you're not leading in the way that I thought that you were supposed to. So now I'm trying to accommodate to help you. And then now that it doesn't work, you're going to look at me.
But masculine men don't do that. Masculine men don't do that.
Hold on.
Right.
This is a disingenuous argument. This is a very disingenuous argument. And the reason that this is a disingenuous argument is because we're ignoring all of the factors that go into this. The first thing is, I think y'all think that we care about what y'all think, and we don't. Just because we hold y'all accountable or we call out bad behavior does not necessarily mean that we give a fuck about whether or not y'all held accountable or not. In real life, that's conversations that we have as far as communicating on the internet and having conversations online. That has nothing to do with real life. That's number one. Number two, we ignore so many other factors that is fed into why we are the way that we are. And I'm going to give you two very huge ones. The first one is family court laws, because you have to understand that that is a weapon and a tool that has been used against men. And y'all have been incentivized to break up your families and then leverage family court as a weapon versus being held accountable. The reason that men say that women can't be held accountable, when we had a conversation during the election and we said, listen, they said, what do y'all want for our vote? They said, we don't want legalizing marijuana on a federal level. We don't want this and we don't want that. We want to change family court laws. You know what they said? They said no. They said that has nothing to do with masculinity, standing on it, anything like that. When you can lose half your shit, which men are smart, so they adapt. What they're doing is they're saying, well, we just not going to fuck with y'all. We just going to fuck on y'all. They'll fuck on you, but they're not necessarily marrying you. And that's why you see women that's saying, we can't get married. We can't find a good man. Where all of them at? They around. They just watching you from a distance because they divested themselves. And so they've made adjustments and they started rocking with everybody else instead of y'all en masse. That's number one. The second thing.
That point before you go to your second point?
Sure.
Would that be okay? Okay, so you said it was disingenuous and then you presented a contradiction. So you said that men are not able to, like, they don't want to take us serious. They want to just have sex with us and move on because they don't care what we think or what we say. But then we'll go and have a conversation about masculinity and talk about the lack of leadership and the lack of masculinity that's floating around. And then the same men that are just sleeping around and crying about court laws and crying about custody and crying about child support are the ones who are, we don't take y'all serious, we're just gonna smash on y'all, and then don't understand why they're in the predicaments that they're in. And then we look at women.
True, because we have
we never have any sexual discipline. That's just
we're having conversations en masse. So I'll give you an example. I sit there and I complain about family court laws, but I've never been under duress and I've never been subjected to family court laws. Right. Why? Because just because I'm smart enough not to do it, I understand that it's important for my voice to be an advocate for men, because nobody wants to have a conversation with a guy that's under duress. So there are a group of men, there are a large quantity of men that are having the conversations that are about change and reform and adjustments and making sure that we do things the right way. I'm not a person that have a child out of wedlock. I'm not a person that's under duress. I'm not a person that's paying alimony. I'm not a person that has ever been subjected to family court laws whatsoever. I never will be.
So why don't you advocate for that?
Does that mean that I can't advocate for the thing that's right just because
what's right is what you've done.
You're misunderstanding having a conversation versus complaining. I don't complain because I don't have anything to complain about, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't change the people complain about Trump, but it doesn't mean that he's not going to do what he need to do in order that's best for America. We can talk about it, but it doesn't mean that we're not going to change the trajectory of what we're doing.
Right. And so my question for you, like, because you use yourself as an example, what you've done is avoided a lot of these negative consequences that a lot of men are going through. And instead of like advocating for the fact that I got married, I didn't put myself in these positions, we're going to advocate for the complaints of men who did put themselves in these positions. And then we say they're not complaining, they're men, they're masculine, they're going to take accountability for the actions as women cannot. But then we continue to hear the same conversation over and over again and look at the woman and say she should have kept her legs closed, she should have did this, she should have did that, which all can be true, right? Because we're talking about what's right. But then we can't say that the leader in this situation should be doing the right thing as well.
Well, two things could be true at the same time, which leads me to point number two. You guys are breeding son husbands. Now we're starting to see the results of single women having children out of wedlock and then breeding these people. And now they are becoming adults. And those are the people that y'all are complaining about not being masculine enough. You see what I'm saying? So now it becomes cyclical. Now it's not just about one thing, family court law, that has enabled you to be able to break up your family and incentivize you to tie yourself to the Democratic Party en masse. But we're also talking about a group of women that are now, their daughters and their daughters' daughters are paying for the consequences of what your mothers and your grandmothers did as far as breaking up their homes and their households. So it's not, now we're looking at it holistically. I can hold men accountable. I can hold men accountable, in which I do. I'm much, any guy that has ever got a coaching call, anybody that's never kicked it with me, I'm much harder on men than I am on women. But it does not absolve me from holding women accountable for the men that they're sleeping with, and ultimately for the children that they're raising, and that they're creating this narrative that they're now saying that men are not masculine enough for them because they're outside of their purpose.
At the end of the day, when you become an adult, you have to take accountability. Like, even if you're raised by a single mother, like, okay, yeah, whatever, she raised you bad, blah, 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 blah. Once you turn 18 or 21, like you guys say here, you're supposed to become a normal person. You're supposed to act like you have some sense. It doesn't matter how you were raised, then you have to start relearning all of those situations. If you feel like, oh, my mom didn't teach me this, right now there is so much things on the internet that's good. You can go on YouTube, you can go on TikTok, there is so much information everywhere that you can actually learn something and learn how to be a better person. So I feel like as the single mothers, they have their own part, but once you get to a certain age, you start to think for yourself. You have to develop your brain. It doesn't matter how you were raised, you can actually address those issues, but you can also turn around and be like, you know what? I don't like the way I was raised. I don't like the things that happened to me. I don't like all of these things. And then you start to actually work on becoming a better person. Because if you sit in that blame of like, oh, my mom raised me, so I'm never going to do anything right, then you're never going to do anything right. And then
That's not what men are saying now.
But that's what you implied, like, oh, it's
not what I'm implying. I said that men are held accountable regardless, but two things can be true at the same time.
But you said it was a single mother's fault, which
Listen,
I mean, there is.
men
Once you get to a certain
men
age,
evolve. All
you
right.
have to grow up.
Here's the reality. The way that we are supposed to be raised is different. And this goes against everything that you're saying right now, because what you don't understand is that it becomes almost like arrested development. Because, like, for example, a guy understands that when you're raising a man, you got to let him suffer. You got to let him buy his own car. You got to let him get to a certain level. Even if you're letting him suffer in controlled environments, that is a part of his growth. We can't raise them the same way that we raise women. So what you're seeing a lot of times is men are not even starting to get themselves together until they're 30 years old, 32, 33 years old. And then that is when they're starting to have that transformation and really start to hold themselves accountable and say, you know what, Anton, I want to do things differently. You know what, Anton, I'm about to go and do this. You know what, Anton, I'm about to make this adjustment. You know what, Anton, it's time to make this, because they're first behind the 8 ball by being raised by a woman where his development, I was able to get married at 22 years old because I had a strong father in my life. There's a lot of guys that then have to overcome the barriers that their mothers presented for them, and then they have to reset their lives.
What about the women that have to also?
One of the reasons.
What about the women
Which
that
is
have
one of the reasons why they don't start the
the
development
women
process for their growth journey until after they've been from under their mother for an extended period of time, which is why most of these guys don't start to get themselves together until they're 30. Eventually, most guys get themselves together. It's a false narrative that y'all creating, trying to act like most men, specifically black men, are not successful, do not have themselves together, do not have children out of wedlock. That's not true.
But
Yeah,
Antonio,
I would agree with him, man.
There are girls that are raised by single mothers. There are girls that are raised by single mothers, and the onus is on them to actually become a better person. If they go out to the world, people keep saying that women don't have accountability from society. If a girl raised by a single mom or a bad parenthood, if she goes into society, she would get payment for that. She can become like, extra worker, SW. There can be so many things that would happen to her that would lead to her growth or lead to her detriment. So at the end of the day, you still have to grow up. It's not
worse
just
off than ever before.
It's not just men that are raised by single mothers.
Why are you using women
by single mothers, and they also actually become better? If you look at the stats, more women that are raised by single mothers, they actually grow up and become. Why can't the men become as good as their female counterpart? Why?
Because it's a woman.
What makes you think that they are better off?
Because
you think that these women that are growing up
all the men in prison are all from single mother homes, but the women in prison are not from single mother homes. That shows that
we're not talking about prison.
Right?
Listen. Most of these women that are complaining about student loans, they'll never pay them back. They are a nuisance to society. They are being subsidized by the federal government, by taxpayers.
Well, do you guys love people owing them? You guys love credit. You guys love people being in credit and being in debt. You guys love
today, just because they got a nice credit score and they've proven that they can buy more shit does not mean that they are better off than they were. Women today are worse off than their grandmothers and their great grandmothers. Who told you that women are becoming greater and successful and overcoming and doing better than men, when in reality they got more debt? They are the ones that are getting the most evicted. They're the ones that are getting their cars repossessed the most. They're the ones that are begging for student loan forgiveness, and they are the ones that's the most laid off. As a result, you can go and look at the last jobs report. Black women in particular are the ones that are losing the most jobs and the ones that are getting evicted. For whatever reason, you think that, and let's be clear, diversity, equity, and inclusion and subsidizing these women and making them think that they're better than they really are. Now that we have to be merit-based, they fucked. They broken. They complaining.
Every major hospital or medical field, black women dominating, nurse practitioners, DOs, surgery, neurosurgeons.
What of them are doing? They hitching themselves to men later on in life so that they can survive. They're not doing it on their own. They are begging men to take them in. They begging men to take their ugly kids in. They begging men to become stepfathers. They are not doing this on their own. They have been helped, coddled, and they have been held up by the federal government until you can find a man to take that piece of shit ass student loan that she got, and she begging for a guy to survive.
And it's the man's fault for taking it on. Discipline, you wouldn't take it on. And it all falls back to men. It circles back to men. The men are the ones that are picking this man.
OnlyFans is crazy. Instagram, they selling pussy. You think that they just
Men are
doing
buying
well?
it.
They subsidizing their lifestyle $40 at a time. I promise you.
And Izzy,
But
and
the men are the
let me
ones
tell you,
buying it. The
but
men are the
Izzy,
ones picking up these
Izzy,
women that they have to go into debt for. The men are the
Izzy,
ones.
but
The women
Izzy, how
are
many
the ones
women?
to get married.
But let me ask you though, Izzy, how many? I agree exactly with what Anton's saying. Let me tell you why. Most of the women that do actually get to a certain place in their life, what we've realized is the examples I've seen is woman does end up finding a man in some way if she wants to have success. If she finds him early and has a good foundation early, usually the future looks a lot. If she is successful, she's married and she has a healthy relationship with her kids, and she has. But if it's later on in life, there's a lot of times I've seen a lot of women in certain positions I've done. That's like they're scrambling, looking for someone. They have a situation that's a lot different. They're looking for someone, right? And also, Izzy, when you said women and those women that you see that are successful, Izzy, how many of them are actually happy and successful? If you really broke down and asked them questions, a lot of them are just charging
They are
hard. But if you
very
sit
happy
down,
and
but Izzy, a lot of
very,
them, if
very
you sit down and have a conversation, a lot of them are like, man, I wish I would have started having kids. You know what? And you ask, oh, you living happy with just you and your single dog at home? Not in a bad way, but a lot of them are saying to themselves, oh yeah, I feel happy, but you have a conversation on the side. They wish they'd done better. A lot of women I see that have success growing up, there's a male figure somehow down the road. It may not be a father. It's somewhere down the road. They had a male figure early enough that showed them that they do need a foundation that is based on logic, based on masculinity, that helps them understand how to grow to a different place. That happens a lot. But when you see men that are raised by single mothers, and Anton's right, we are in a generation now where a lot of those men that are raised by single mothers, they're becoming 30 years old. And now, because a lot of times when I see situations, but figure, Izzy, a lot of times you see
women raised by single
I
mothers?
know, but Izzy,
What
those
about
women,
women
but
raised
those
by
are not,
single mothers?
those are usually not happy. Those are usually, I'm telling you, I have a lot of conversation with people, and I have the females that I know that are associates of mine. A lot of them, they have to learn certain lessons through talking to people like myself. I have my wife and my kids, and I'm leading my family. They have to learn from other people a lot of times. Yes, they might be trucking hard, but there's certain lessons you sometimes don't get. Doesn't mean that every woman don't do this. I'm a believer that women have power too, but there's certain lessons that you don't get usually because a lot of times people are born just in the femininity, right? The old school version of that femininity. They don't get a chance to learn some of the lessons. If you see a mother with a boy and a mother with a girl, like Anton said, she's teaching lessons. The father will say, oh no, he has to learn. I've never seen most fathers be like to their daughter, mothers say to their son, he has to learn, or to their daughter, she just has to learn. They don't usually say that. The fathers.
Can I call you Law?
Laos. You just say Laos.
Okay,
Laos.
yeah,
Laos.
When men get coaching based off of how they can become better versions of themselves and become more successful. When women get coaching, they get coaching on how they can get a man.
Exactly.
I do have
you know what you keep leaving out of the comment.
When women get coaching, they get coaching on how they can get a man.
But this conversation is leaving out a big
better for women.
Oh my God.
There
we
are
keep leaving
incredible
out a
women.
big
There are.
element here. So God tells us to do things in a certain way, right? There's a system for everything, whether you believe or you don't. And the problem here is we keep having a circular conversation. And you know why there's no resolution to this conversation? Because both parties are wrong. Both parties are wrong. It is true. Both parties are wrong.
What am I wrong about?
Hold on, I'm gonna explain it. So we have a conversation about a single mother and how she's destroyed this child, right? Because of her single motherhood. And then we completely leave out the fact that there is a father and he's somewhere. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about that because you've had children outside of wedlock and now you are scrambling to figure out how to make it work and how to put it in order, right? And so we keep having a conversation trying to figure out who is to blame. Both parties are to blame. Both parties. It's a conversation that is pointless.
You didn't prove anything. All you just said was both parties are to blame, and you're wrong.
What do you mean I didn't prove anything? We are doing things out of order in that.
Most men, specifically black men, do not have children out of wedlock. Most women, overwhelming. It is true. It's a statistical fact. It is. Most men do not have children.
I believe 68% of men have children.
Most men don't have children out of wedlock. I don't know if you heard that last part.
So you're telling me that majority of men are married? Majority of men
Majority
with
of
children
men
are
have their
married.
children in wedlock. The
I'll have
majority of men that the
I'll
majority
have
of
to see the statistic because it's
then
not
go and
true.
look it up. You'll go and find
Okay.
it and then make sure you come back and tell me that I'm right.
Okay, I
The
will.
majority of women, specifically Black women, have
Mhm.
children out of wedlock by a small minority of the men.
Okay.
I do have a question because Anton, you said that.
How many percent of women? How many
You
percent of
can
women?
answer me the question, but I want you to sit on that for a minute and then you come back and tell me how we both wrong again.
Can you
Most men are not having sex. Most men that have children have it within wedlock. Most women that are having children are having them by a minority of the same men out of wedlock.
Victor,
So who's the problem?
wait, what's the percentage for women, Victor?
But a woman can only get pregnant once a year. So
You're
even
saying
if
women are
are
the
having
problem.
kids, she can only be pregnant once a year. But a man can impregnate several women. Like he can impregnate 100 women within a year. A woman can only be pregnant one time.
Correct. So
Literally,
no, you just proved my point. If the onus is on you, on who you have children with, if I went and I saw for 99.9% of all men and 0.1% of men impregnated 90% of the women, then who do we solve for the problem? That's why we say women control access to sex, men control access to marriage. That's literally why we say it.
This is why men used to be castrated.
But
are you not paying attention and listening?
But Anton, you saying
are y'all not listening to what's going on here?
But
I'm hearing you.
But Anton, you saying that, man, you said both of them are not, and Ty said both parties are to blame.
Okay, so it says between the ages of 20 and 24, 70% of births are to unmarried fathers. Ages 25 to 29, about 50%, and then it increases after 30. So what
unmarried
I'm saying,
fathers, it could be
unmarried
the same
fathers,
guys.
that's what I'm talking about.
It could be the same guys,
and that's still a male problem.
That are having multiple children by multiple women.
And that's still a male problem as well with females.
Jesus Christ. This is crazy.
You know, whatever homes they come from, they're breaking up a family.
I don't
Whatever,
even think that this matters.
Going back to Trump, whatever home you come from, you're
going back to Trump, going back to Trump and deploying.
Can you shut the fuck up?
Say something.
Going back to Trump and
hold on, Jerry. Hold on. It's not a question I want to ask. It's something Ty said, right? I think both parties are to blame, right? Because y'all keep saying, granted, one parent household is to blame, but at what age is it not to blame?
Thank you.
Can men still use that excuse at the age of 40? Can men use that excuse at the age of 35? I'm just saying, like, at what age do the men stop saying, well, I was raised by a single mother?
If the majority of men are not the problem, and the majority of the women are perpetuating and carrying forward the problem. Okay. If you solve for an issue, who do you solve for it with? Because you always target where the majority of the problem is. You listen, the only time I hear women say that both are wrong is when women are the ones that are majority the problem. They never say, you know what, ladies, let's get it together. We fucked up. I don't know why we keep having children out of wedlock. We need to hold each other accountable. They always say, when I talk to my wife and I say, listen, let me go ahead and give you some insight on how you can do things differently. She always said, well, what about when you, well, if you had a problem with me, then you should have addressed it prior to me actually addressing you. Right now, it's you. And I don't know when this became a team effort. Every single time that we point out some inconsistency or some problem with women that is doing it wrong. Why is it a us thing when when we hold men accountable, it's a men thing. When we hold y'all accountable, it's a us thing.
Because do you want to be leaders, or you said you don't want to be partners? You said you don't want partnership. And so how can you hold women to the same accountability and capacity to men? You can't.
Accountability is not a gender thing, though.
It's not. I'm saying it's not. What I'm saying is he's stating that women and men are completely different, right? Men have a certain type of authority that women don't, right? In society, we're talking about women and men's accountability being different. And so why do we keep putting them parallel to one another as if they're the same thing? They're not the same thing.
Who said that we ever was parallel? We was
because you're sitting here saying that,
never made that
both parties are not responsible, but both parties are participating. I don't get how we can only singularly focus on one party's participation.
I clearly gave you the reason why we had to focus on one party. If
majority, but it's still two parties.
If a group of women is getting pregnant by a minority of the men, then maybe we should focus on the people that is the most egregious. I'm not going to.
Maybe we should have better leaders. Maybe we should have better leaders.
No, but there's something.
So basically, in conclusion, women avoid accountability like the plague. We never should have had the conversation of 100 men versus a gorilla. We should have had it at 100 women versus accountability.
That's the problem.
100 women versus accountability. You won't find it. It's impossible. We will never get women.
Men have choice.
100 men versus women in Japan.
How to go on and on about something that's not changing is logical. Because if you have the authority that you say you have, if you have the authority, or if you're wanting the authority that you say you want, you wouldn't be looking to the other party to give it to you.
I am authority.
You couldn't be, because you're looking at women saying, look at what you've done.
I'm able to have this conversation because I am king. Like, I am authority.
You're king, but then we're talking about we're talking about the leader.
There is nobody
responsibility to the followers
that has the track record that I have of consistency when it comes to making right decisions. I am the personification.
We're not talking about you.
I am the no. I am the personification of what a strong, good man is supposed to be. So let's be clear.
Any man can say that, even people that do drugs.
I'm not speaking based off of duress. I don't speak from a duress perspective. I'm speaking.
But that's just your perspective.
I'm speaking from authority. So what I'm saying is that, and this is what y'all have to realize. For whatever reason, y'all keep talking to me as though y'all not losing. Women and men are losing. You guys are losers. You're worse off than ever before. Maybe not on an individual level, but collectively, you guys are losers. You are last place on the totem pole. You know what we don't listen to?
What are you talking about?
Respectfully,
as a group, women, specifically Black women, is last place. So what I'm saying is, why would we listen to losers?
I don't know who you're talking about.
I just described.
Well, I don't know. I don't know
why women in mass trying to tell us what we're supposed to do as men when y'all are last place of any group.
Well, because y'all are opening the conversation. Y'all are opening the conversation and
feminine men, and how this feminine men are causing problems in society with everything that they voted for.
Dialogue is between men and women.
Yeah, I've got a simple question.
I
think that women.
No. Listen, this is a dialogue, but it's still a question.
No, not between you.
The same way that y'all ask us questions with regard to how it is that we complain about certain things. I'm posing a question to y'all now. Why do women? Why you didn't even hear the question yet? Why do women feel as though they have authority to speak on an issue that they can't solve for within their own communities?
And that's the reason why Trump is in office. That's all I want to say. Because to get back to the topic in the riots, if Kamala was in office, she wouldn't have even deployed the National Guard. Period.
Usually when you select a group of people to follow, you select a group of people to follow based off of their success or their track record. Why should we follow y'all to the polls? Why should we follow y'all advice when y'all keep telling us to go and get a bunch of men
follow the women to the polls?
Why should we follow y'all advice? Why should your sons? That's a better question. Why should your sons take your advice on how to vet for a woman? And instead, why shouldn't he just do the opposite and be rebellious and go to complete different direction? If the majority of y'all are unable to select the man that y'all can keep and that you can keep your family together. Why should anybody listen to y'all?
Our sons should seek advice on vetting a woman from their father, and our daughters should seek advice from the mothers. And the problem that we're having. One second. Can I finish? And the problem that we're having is men continually having conversations with women and not getting anywhere, and then vice versa. It's women trying to have conversation on how men should be men. These conversations are not going anywhere, is what I'm saying.
Oh, they're going plenty of places.
No, they're continuing on and on to content, but they're not. There's no solution.
Waking up, and
there's no solution.
The only reason that women are complaining, is because men no longer give a fuck about what they think.
Oh, men care.
No, they do.
No, they don't.
They're talking more than they ever have talked. They care.
There's a segment of men that pander because they know that y'all gonna give them money.
No, there's a red pill community in general. Is an example
for whatever
of
reason you don't understand
the
That's all
problem
a part
with
of the game,
relationships at
baby.
this point.
The only reason that we didn't fuck with Derek Jackson is because Derek Jackson he dirty Mac. He hated on other men in order to continue to get y'all attention. But there's a whole lot of Derek Jacksons. The men that agree with y'all are just like him. They doing it for the box. They doing it for the money. They doing it for the visibility. They don't fuck with y'all either. They don't fuck with y'all either. They don't fuck with y'all either. Men have adjusted. Men have adapted. And so are they being more successful. And eventually it's going to get to the point where y'all going to have to share.
So Ty, so
every time you talk about what men want, it's just sex.
So one second.
When do we out of that?
So Ty, a question for you. Based on what Anton said earlier, if you ask, if a woman was to get advice from her mom on a relationship versus getting advice from a father, okay, let's say a strong mother and a strong father, do you think the woman will have more success finding a great relationship if she talks to a woman or if she talks to a strong male or a strong woman? What do you feel?
Well,
strong male. My
opinion is biblically it says that women should lead women in the way that they're supposed to go. So I'll go with that. Women.
Okay. So I would say I disagree, but let me ask you another question based on the accountability thing. What Anton said, I do agree with Anton. I think accountability, men, you can. There's no question in my question. You can ask a man that one day he doesn't have to answer that question. He has to one day say, I need to answer that question. But I think it's different. I do think it's different for women. I'll give you an example. For all the ladies here, is it rude to ask a woman her weight?
No,
I don't care.
I don't think it's rude.
Okay. Now the majority of people will say it is rude, and I'm just giving a pure example where we're held accountable to something. I mean, you can go up to a man and say to a man, "You look fat as hell today, bro. What are you about to do? When you gonna lose some weight, bro?" And the reason why I say that is such a simple example, but what I'm saying at the end of the day, you guys say that, but the majority of people around will say that's a rude question. That's a good example of how men, no matter what the question is, we will one day have to answer that question in our lives, whether now or never. But some questions, women, the society just allows women not to be able to answer. And I know that's a stupid example, but my point in saying is the accountability level is different. It is. I see what Anton is saying.
I think that you're speaking to the point that I just made. I think that it is different. So why do we keep having conversations about how women are doing this, and that, and then we don't want to acknowledge the other side of that, right? Because when we create children, when we create families, there are two people who do that, and then we put one of those people, one of those two persons is in the leadership role, and then we look to the person who's not the leader and say, "This is all your fault." And I'm trying to figure out why that's continuing to be the narrative.
Because they want to blame women for not exercising their ability to take birth control or to utilize contraceptives or to be better choosers about who they date or who they sleep with, and even go as so far as to blame them for not getting abortions and things like that. I see it as being taken advantage of the fact that women can do a lot more to prevent something when the whole prevention thing that we are talking about lies within the men.
I see men shrinking. I see men shrinking to their calling. I think that the men of yesteryear were able to understand what it was, and they were able to take it on the chin and move forward. Just one second. And then I think that now, when men are called to be in difficult positions, instead of saying, "Okay, this is where I'm at," we see what we see. The constant conversation.
Men of yesteryear was able to slap y'all up the fucking side of y'all head and call y'all their property. That's the difference.
Well, you
Let's be clear. Let's be clear. I don't know if y'all familiar with y'all history. Y'all just really been able to vote. Y'all just able to been just
that's the question.
Been able to vote.
That wasn't for order, Anton. That was for abuse. That was just abuse of authority.
It wasn't abuse.
We can't acknowledge stuff like that, David, because he's just trying to trigger you. There's no reason for that.
Not. It's the truth.
I get what you're saying.
They were able to slap you upside your head.
Abuse is what got women in
Is this
order.
woman not familiar with her? You might be too young, and I'm not sure if you really understand.
No, I'm not too young. I'm saying it doesn't
Women were
contribute
the property of their husbands.
Okay.
And they were property. That's why they couldn't vote. That's why they couldn't do anything without the authority of their husbands. If you called the police and the police pulled up and he's saying that you was being belligerent with your husband, he just drove away. He was like, oh, that's you got to handle that. Y'all didn't have no rights. You keep talking about men of yesteryear. You wouldn't survive with the men of yesteryear because you wouldn't even be talking to me right now with the men of yesteryear because women were separated from being able to communicate with men of authority.
We got to get a super chat.
No. Let's be clear. I don't know if y'all know the type of men that y'all reverence. Those are the type of men that y'all say that y'all don't want to be around because they would slap the shit out of you if you talk too much. I'm telling you the truth. That's not me being triggering. That's not me trying to get a moment.
I'm saying there are two different conversations. One conversation is about the dynamic between the men and how they treated the women, and the other is about the call to command and authority for the man and how he functions in that household. They're two separate conversations.
Okay, you got it.
And look, here's the last thing I would say, and here's how Anton's right too. Okay, it was different back in the day, but think about it right now. No. I'm just saying, I agree. No, I follow the. I agree, but here's the thing though. One thing that men have to be, even masculine men have to be careful about is women can make a small accusation right now, and men can get smashed quickly.
No. What you don't understand is that's where we see law and order and women covering themselves up and yielding to the authority of men and leaning into their femininity. Those are in countries and in places where women are still the property of the men that then determine what they do with their life and how they're gonna move. That still exists in the countries where that exists the most, where they have the most law and order. That still is a thing. Women don't have the same freedom and the choices that they have here in America. So you got to pick a side. You know what I'm saying?
I've already chosen my side. I never have spoken about.
I'm not talking about you in particular. I'm saying women. You have to pick a side. Either you want this way or you want it that other way. But if you go it that other way, it's a lot of pain and suffering that come along with that. That's all I'm saying.
All right, let me.
I thought we were talking about what's right, though, Anton. And it's not right for men to abuse their women.
Well, I would just say this conversation started about migrants, and somehow it just ended up with women.
Izzy, we gotta get a super chat. Yeah, we gotta get a super chat. We pass for the next topic. But shout out to everybody that's in the chat. We appreciate you guys here. If you are interested in joining the panel, you have to DM me on IG and just say panel. But Coach Tracy says, Ty, I bet you she won't. MCK Dice says, Jerry got that beautiful ebony glow. Coach Tracy says, Laura drinks fizzy wickets. Quentin says, shout out to Clark Kent. Millennial Minuteman says, rioting, assaulting law enforcement, and waving a foreign flag is an invasion, not a protest. Vaughn says, Anton, when you get filed for by your parent and they are a citizen, you get your green card and social security number after 3 months in the mail, and you wait 5 years to file for your citizenship. Shout out to Big Dope with a $2 ball. Bond says, CNT speak on other people's stitch because all is different. Big Dope says, Carson, you just disrespect your husband. Anton won. Christopher says, Umar Johnson gonna be mad. Pedro says, feminism has ruined families. Period. I'm not talking about voting rights, etc. But this modern feminism is horrible. Quentin says, she Carson, it's okay to smile. True Business says, men to deal with men, women to deal with women. Slug Bruce says, women are mating with the worst men, so they are producing worse men. Eddie says, Anton, men are past tired of the BS that these feminists keep pushing. We tell you what we want and you don't listen. No man wants a masculine woman. Family court laws are designed to keep men in his proverbial hole financially. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. Terry Johnson says, it's diabolical, crazy work sitting here listening to non-traditional modern women lecturing us on how to be traditional men. Green Blaze says, Lord is absolutely right. Kamala not speaking after she got mollywopped election night was total lack of leadership. Ashley says, I think women in mass need to give full custody to the fathers so we can stop hearing about unfair family court laws. Eddie says, I'm sorry, Izzy, but could you please stop it? Get help. Sign every masculine man. We tell you and you still don't listen. What else can we say? The 6-foot Aquarius says, Izzy just don't like men, black men from America. Most Caribbeans and Africans despise us more than white races do. Jaquan says,
White racist.
That's a flawed argument. Ty, marriage also doesn't change the fact that the divorce laws are against men 9 out of 10, which is why most men today are against marriage. Also, most black men don't have children out of wedlock. Quentin says, Izzy and Benchy Kirsten tag team and Anton tonight. Eddie says they are the most enrolled, not educated. Quentin says Jerry kind of cute today. Janvier Hutt says Megan got Tourette's. Eddie says, Ty, we both are to blame, huh? Why is it that 80% of greater of the divorces are by women? Quentin says, blackdemographics.com. You look it up, Ben Carson. Empire says, everyone knows a guy who have children with 4 to 6 different women. Then there's silver men who don't have children. B-Man says, Jerry, no cap, you fine, but you don't have a booty. DeQuinn says, Izzy
I'm so cute though.
And women are more to blame. They're the only ones who have a choice after the pregnancy occurs. That and single father households have identical outcomes to parent homes. I don't know, says women want us to hold the 18% of men who are knocking them up accountable. Not F you, F him, and F your kids. It's not your job to fix your bad decisions. T. Stam says, black women live in a bubble for real. It's pointless talking to them. They will never listen. All they do is create false narratives. Quentin says, what on your mind, Marvel? Norvin says, thank you for the $5 Super Bowl, Norvin. Eddie B says, again, these standards are literally insane. Men have subdued the world so much that they are actually think that they can survive without us. You're winning so much that they out here begging for men. Kamal's a joke, low IQ. Rag says, look at Miss. I bet she won't. Quinn says, Megan, do you tan? Aunt and Deja says, only way women should be teaching their child how to get is if she's really adopted and mirrors her man's wisdom, but should be from dad. Jaquin says, men and women have been having these dating issues long before the red pill was even a thought about. What the F is Todd talking about? James says, black women last place in everything except for twerking. I don't know if Dalen look like she gonna giddy up on Pookie tonight. Jay says they won't get an Anton. 3 ninjas impregnate 20 women in their neighborhood. Women, it's the 3 ninjas' fault. Nabi says, shout out to the panel. Anton put a masterclass last week with Mika and Molly last Friday. While money is not everything, it can be a great equalizer. Eric says, at the end of the day, if you're not married, you should not have sex out of wedlock. That is a solution. Optimus Prime says, shame, insults, guilt, and the need to be right. Question, Eddie says, why can't y'all be more like Alan? Shout out to Eddie. James says, Anton and all the other men on the panel is saying men hold themselves accountable. Women do the same. You guys are your own individual subgroup. Why include men? The majority of women have diverse yourselves for men. Green Blaze says, here is what Ty is missing. No man makes himself a father. The woman chooses to carry 9 months to term to choose the man to be dad and pick men wise. I don't know, says, go to Afghanistan, Pakistan, or the Middle East, discuss the merits of feminism with them. I'm sure y'all arguments will really resonate with them. Crazy P says, Dylan, on God, I hate that hat. Cap says, Anton, watch out. He listening behind the monitors. I'm surprised she came back. Zero says, men are waking up to the okie doke. Women are just mad the clean up men are disappearing. I'm just going to say what people don't want to hear. Most women divorced because her husband was her fallback man. Raw Talk says, you protect modern black women by leaving them to their own self-destruction. This is the only solution. Let them expire. Buy a dog, expire alone. Has never been so obvious for them. Stay free, young men. Brian says, men literally live every society where women live in, but somehow y'all tell men they are for how they run it. Only run it. You're only as safe as men allow. Jaquan says, men aren't the leaders in all an egalitarian world where women have the same agency as them. It's a false argument to compare the men with the black men to the men of today. I think you meant black men of today, because men today don't have the same authority. Lynn, thank you for the $2 ball. Striking It Rich says, if we were doing things biblically, women wouldn't be on panel talking to men, let alone trying to teach them. Anton speaking facts as usual. Black Guy says, 2010 to 2020 was the era of listening to women, believe all women. 2020 to 2030 is the era of telling women shut the F up. Day Day says, where my man at the domestic discipline 2025? Lynn says, get the narkin. Kenny says, Ty got a traditional woman's hairstyle and a modern woman mentality. And Victor says, Victor Logan, this is stupid. You have the freedom to choose, and you choose wrong, but then it's a failure of leadership from the same men who you didn't choose and whom you refuse to follow. What the F kind of logic is that? Quinn says, my white friend called and said Megan is under the influence.
Yeah, I wish.
2025. Coach Chicey says nobody's Megan. The 6-foot Aquarius says, since Megan is the page buckers of the panel, I would love to hear from her next segment. Speak up, Megan. Damn. John says, let the women do their thing. The men will rebuild afterwards. Quentin again says, what's a dollar ball? Sorry, I was in Vegas this weekend. But shout out to you guys. Thank you guys for sending all the super chats. We definitely appreciate you guys every Monday. Make sure you hit the like button. Okay. It's very low out there. Okay. So a lot's been going on in the streets, but let's go to the next segment. Okay. Should broke people, struggling people be having kids? Okay.
No.
Let's watch this little clip.
Nobody gets pregnant more or have kids more than people that are struggling. If you are struggling, what will make you think, yeah, like, let's have a baby? Like, what? Men and women, what will make you do that? Like, I can barely feed the kids I got. I can barely feed myself. I don't have a car. I don't have a job. But let me just have a baby real quick. What will make you do that? Like, what really do be wrong with people? People who struggle, I swear they have the most kids. Like, on TikTok, when you see people struggling, they be having like 4 or 5 kids. What will make you do that? Why raise a child in a struggling environment when you can't give them no type of life, no type of good life? Like, why do y'all do that? I really don't get it. Like, they'll be like, yeah, I'm homeless, I'm pregnant. What? How did this even happen? How did you even get, like, aroused enough to even have a baby homeless? Like, if I'm homeless, I'm focused. Like, it's just no way. Like, we gotta stop that. Stop having kids if you're struggling. Like, what's so hard about that?
Okay. Let's struggle people
because the left has their back.
We'll let Megan go first. Hold on, because Megan ain't saying nothing. Megan and then Marvel.
I know. I feel like the conversation just keeps jumping everywhere. So I'm like, I don't know what to say.
Go ahead. You and then Marvel.
So I'm not gonna lie. I have a lot of friends that have had babies, and they just do it for the money, for the food stamps, for welfare, for Section 8. They'll just keep having kids, knowing that they can't afford it. But they'll take it, from the government and everything like that. There's a lot of women like that really don't give shit about, that. But I mean, they want to keep having babies, then there's nothing we can really do about it.
No, but do you think that struggling people financially should be having kids?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't. But I don't know. Like I said, I mean, that's just I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Well, we know that goes to men and women. Men shouldn't be impregnating women if they are broke. Yeah, here we go. Men shouldn't be. We got to talk about what sex look like. Women just ain't DJing themselves and, getting pregnant, okay? So men who don't have no money and who are not established, who does not have a career, who does not have any goals, who does not have a plan to be a family man, should not be penetrating, punani and impregnating a woman. And a woman should not be allowing herself to even be sleeping with a man who do not have those things in order and allowing themselves to get pregnant. So if you do not have a lifestyle which sets up a child and or children for success, unfortunately, you are not a good candidate for even casual sex. Because at this point, people don't even know how to be irresponsible with sex without, not wanting to complain about the consequences.
Most men are not doing that.
Let me ask Dylan a question. Dylan, if you get pregnant tomorrow Who chooses to have the baby?
If I got pregnant, my boyfriend and I, because if it's not a choice of me.
No. Who gets to decide if you get to have that baby out of your body?
Oh, well, physically, I will have that choice because the fetus or fetuses will be in my womb. So physically, I can disregard my partner's feelings, maybe even disregard my own feelings, and decide if I want to pursue the pregnancy or if I choose to abort. But because myself am smart and intelligent and I respect my man and I hear my man, and
we're not talking about that part. So you
just I'm just letting it be known that's important to know, because when you're sleeping with somebody and already don't have a care in the world how they feel,
a lot of people don't respect themselves because who they sleep with. So let's just say women, they make the choice if they want to have that baby.
That's true.
So why are these women choosing to not only have sex but have a baby when not only they're struggling, but the men might be struggling? It's a choice. It falls back on the women. Because what?
That goes back to that accountability part.
I can say that, to Megan's point, that is true. Women are incentivized to have multiple children. They're rewarded with different things needed in order to provide for those children. And let me just say this real quick. My grandmother's mom had 7 children. By the time she started at 12, okay? Now she dead and gone, so I don't feel bad about telling her business. And I remember asking my grandma, I said, if granddaddy and her was poor and they lived in a cabin in the wood, why did they have so many children? And my grandmother said it was nothing else to do back then. So I look at it now in today's society, when you don't have any ambition, when you don't know what you want to do with your life, you fall victim to your natural feeling and to procreate, and you just disregard that times are different. There are more consequences that you face when you have children and you're broke and you're poor and you don't even have a plan on how you're going to get yourself up out of sticky waters.
I think it's the lack of accountability when there are women that have, like Megan was saying, having multiple kids and they're getting incentivized to have kids that are on welfare, Section 8, whatever the case may be. People are not holding women accountable. And even the women that aren't on Section 8 and welfare, they're depending on friends and family to help them. Yeah. It's not the mother or the grandmother saying, hey, you need to stop. Hey, you need to close your legs. Hey, I'm personally against birth control just from a different experience, but you're not on birth control. There's Flow app now. You can track your ovulation. You can track your cycle. There should be no reason why you're sitting up here laying up with a nigga that ain't going to take care of you or your kids that you keep pushing out for them. It's the women not being held accountable. Yes, the men are out here giving broke deeds to every woman in the neighborhood, but at the end of the day, the woman is allowing him to do that. She has access to her body, and she's allowing him access to her body. So,
if a woman has an abortion, you guys also complain about that too.
Let Jerry finish, and then you can go. Then we'll get Mark.
Yeah. So if women, even more women, held other women accountable, then we wouldn't be having this issue. And like I think it was lawyers that were saying before, if you even mention something, it's like, oh, I'm so offended by what's being said. No, you need to hear what's being said. It doesn't matter who the messenger is, because at the end of the day, you need to stop laying down and having all these dang on kids that you can't take care of. So, yeah,
a lot of females.
Well, I also think that if or when a woman decides that she doesn't want to have a kid or she decides to have an abortion, there's also complaints that you're K-wording the baby and all of that. So it's like damned if you do and damned if you don't. If she gives birth to the kid while you're struggling, which again, I'm not gonna say they're right for that. Obviously, that's crazy. But like Megan said, these women, American women, are having these kids because the government has incentives to help them. You guys have welfare, Section 8, what do they call it? WIC, I think that's what it is. They get so much things, you don't even have to have money. You can just go to anywhere in the community and you can have things given to you for free. Diapers, food, clothes, all of these things. So I mean, the women think that, even if I don't have any money or anything, I can literally just go here and I'll be able to get everything that I need. So why would they not want to have a baby, especially if they'll be getting so much money for it? And then during tax season, they put all these babies as dependents, and they're getting like 10,000, 20,000 back from tax returns. Like America is a great country, and you guys are giving all of these great things to people, especially women with kids. I don't think that they have any need to ever stop having those kids. And on the flip side, if they decide to have an abortion, it's also a problem because it's like, oh, you're okay, what in the fetus? There's no discipline from you not closing your legs.
Right,
And
Izzy, to go back to the question, do you think that financially struggling people should be having kids?
Me personally, I don't think that they should be having kids. I feel like if you're financially unstable, you should not have kids. If you're mentally unstable, you should not have kids. If you don't have resources, you should not have kids. You shouldn't. But that's what I'm saying. The US has so much incentives. You guys have so much great things that help these people that are financially struggling, which in their head they're thinking, you know what, I'm not financially struggling if I have all of these things that I can get access to that helps me. No one would, I mean, if you have a kid and then you're able to have resources from several people, you can go online, GoFundMe page, all of these things, you can go on Instagram Live and beg and people will give you money. Why would you ever stop? Why would you ever feel the need to not continue doing what you're doing? So there's no consequences for the action. And so, I mean, I personally don't think so, but society obviously always seems to help these people, so they're always going to continue having kids.
So is the responsibility on the women to stop messing with these broke men?
Yes.
If you're messing with a broke man, you're also a broke woman.
Well, I mean, I won't say this responsibility. We can say that women have more opportunity for that not to happen, but we can't say that it's 100% on the women. I can't look at it like that. I think absolutely hold women accountable for what it looks like when they get pregnant, but I will never, I'm gonna die on that hill, dismiss the men that want to get you pregnant. Men know not how to get women pregnant, and they do it anyway.
Wait.
But
I feel like
who knows better how to get somebody pregnant, a woman or a man?
Well, women will know when they can get pregnant. The whole ovulation, women can track that.
Earlier, women can only get pregnant a certain time of the month.
Yep.
How do y'all get pregnant so easy? I just don't.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Some women are very fertile,
so responsible with their own body, who don't take it into account, who don't care if a man is or if they're having sex with a man unprotected, they're not caring if they get impregnated and hoping that because that man is sleeping with you. A lot of women think that if a man sleeps with you without protection, that's his way of saying that he loves you, he cares about you, and it tops it off even more when he plants his seed. A lot of women think that a man show his love and devotion and commitment to you by doing the ultimate commitment, which is planting a child in you, and then not even caring if you have a relationship with this woman long enough to say, you know, well, I don't even know if I want to have a child with you. But to that woman, it's like, well, you already impregnated me. It must mean, you know what I mean? So it's like,
they get married first.
And that's on the woman.
Are these women like, don't they have?
Let's talk to Marvel. Go ahead, Marvel. You ain't talk either.
I think just women just need to just close their legs. To be very honest, when it comes to that, for real, like it's. I do think that when it comes to if broke people need to, if they need to have kids, I don't necessarily think so, but I also think that there is a conflation when it comes to luxury versus necessity, if that makes sense. You know, we're in the stage and age where people want to, like, you know, keep up with the Joneses and, you know, parking lot pimping and all that. And that can actually get to attribute to that. So no, I don't think broke people should honestly, you know, should have kids at all. And
we say broke people, but then only talk about women. Men and women are people. So we're talking about what it looks like for women, and then we're talking about what it looks like for men. We always do that. We talk about the receiver in the garden, but we don't talk about the motherfucker plant. Excuse my language.
But I can't have sex with you unless you agree to, though.
But women control pregnancy.
Don't most men make more money than women? So
true.
I don't think men are worrying about what a woman makes. But I think that
we don't care about the money. We
worry
don't care
about.
about the money. That makes sense.
Yes, you guys
But
do.
men,
You guys
but
do.
men are
No, we're-
thinking. But before men get in situations, men are thinking, okay, if I do something like this, the financial responsibility, the smart man. Now, most women are dealing with men that are raised by women. A masculine man ain't gonna bust that woman down. Firstly, and also, I never hear men running around saying, "Oh, you know what? I want more babies." I've heard women say that. Men are usually thinking like, "Yo, like if I do this, the accountability is coming." Like I'm gonna have to be held accountable somehow, some way. But women are not usually thinking that. And Dalen, you just proved it. There's the accountability factor. And Q made a great point. Women 95% control the pregnancy aspect.
Well, that's
when
true.
it's gonna happen.
What I was making, Lars, was that
100%.
don't even impregnate the woman that you don't have a relationship with to give her the choice over what happens in your life. I'm not taking away accountability from the woman. I'm saying to the men, if you know you don't see anything long term with this woman, why put yourself in a position to where you are tied down to this issue for life? Why give somebody the choice of what your life is gonna be because you wanted to nut in a fat booty?
Yeah, but Dalen, if it's not forced, if the person didn't do something illegal and it's not a forced issue, then technically the woman has literally 95.7%.
It is all on her.
Control on that.
Yeah.
It is all on her unless it's forced.
You make a great point, but at the end of the day, if it's not forced, end of the day, she has shut this down. She could, like, trust me. End of the day, it is a lot of what her control.
Women that have gone straight to the clinic soon as it opened. Women that will take their birth control pills every day. Women that are on the next on. Women that, even I've heard from friends say, their man practices, the pull-out method, or that they use, it's something. But I'm just we know that women
but Daquan doesn't have good judgment. If you know Daquan has bad judgment in every area of his life, why you let him practice the pull-out method?
I just think that it's so disingenuous. Go ahead, Q. I'm sorry.
I just want to say one thing. If it was able for men to get pregnant inside of women, I think men would be more responsible.
No, they would be the first ones at the abortion.
No. They would be more. I think they wouldn't be having. I don't think they would be having. Kids. I don't think they would be having the same rate of kids of women of today. Let's just be honest. Okay.
Absolutely. Men will. There's no fertilization. Hey, you come to my house when I'm not fertilizing.
If I get pregnant tomorrow, it is my fault. Only my fault.
It's a fault.
No,
if you didn't want to get pregnant,
my fault, my choice.
So you're saying that getting pregnant is a fault?
Yes, out of wedlock, it is a fault.
So why are you sleeping with somebody?
To me, it's a fault.
Well, why you having sex then? That's the real. We all know pregnancy it's not even a question unless we having sex. We're not talking about IVF, implantation, all that. We just talking about the old-fashioned natural way.
Okay, so we're shifting the point. So is it your fault if you get pregnant tomorrow? Is it your fault out of wedlock?
Yes.
Yes. I do have fault. I have my piece of responsibility for getting pregnant. Absolutely. Because if I didn't, I would have been on birth control. Or I would have used other forms of contraceptive. For sure.
But if you said no, we're not doing this tonight, then there's nothing. That's it. The dude has no chance. That's it.
That's true. But here's the thing. I'm glad you said that, Lars. But I think that if women did not give men sex, what would it look like in a world where most men are not having sex with the women? With women, I mean, where women are doing men a favor.
Most men are not having sex
before marriage, because when men approach women, they're offering meat before commitment. Anyway,
did you hear what Marvel said? Most men
most men are not having sex.
Most men are sexually deprived.
I've heard that from the Kevin Samuels thing. Most men are not having sex. We're not even talking about them, because if you can't even get sex when all these women are offering up their punani left and right for free.
No. These women are offering their pum pum to certain men, the same type of certain men. That's why women are having sex and having more babies than men. Look at the ratio.
Most of the women are having sex with the same men. That's what's happening.
I do agree that there are men that have multiple baby mamas, which is why you'll have more women that have. So I guess that's why they leaving the babies with the mama, because it's like I grew up single mom, raised our children single mothers. But
And
that's
men see single parent flaws quicker. Men see single parent flaws much faster than women do.
but only men can create. Okay.
You are wasting your breath. You're not gonna talk no sense into these women.
I do agree with that, Victor, but yeah, I think that is
Was I just talking? The fuck
sorry, Anton. Excuse me.
No, you go. You got it. Go ahead.
Well,
You've been making a lot of sense over the last 40 minutes. Go ahead, make it happen. And you trying to talk some sense into people that don't give a fuck, bro.
If 100% of women said no,
these women
but
are creatures of habit. All they know is dick. That's it.
I don't know what he's talking about, but what I'll say is you should marry before you carry.
More complicated.
You should marry before you carry. That's the solution.
Y'all trying to make this more complicated than it really is. The fact of the matter is they can't help themselves. They can't help themselves. It just is what it is. You can talk all, bruh, let them eat themselves. Y'all keep trying to convince them, hey, process of elimination. E equal MC squared. The slope is rise over run. They don't give a fuck about that. They don't got no rules when it comes to the men that they want to fuck.
There are a lot of women that are taking
no rules. There are no rules for the men that they like.
Victor, the question you asked me the question.
All of this shit.
But what about the men that have multiple baby mamas
like?
and then pick one woman to marry?
The only standards are for men that they settle for. That's it. The ones that they feel like they're privileged to give it to. It's the ones that they yearn for it from, and it's the ones that they feel like they're good enough to give it to. That's it, bro. That's the real equation. It's not a complicated mathematical equation. The real equation is the reason why there's a minority of men getting a majority of women pregnant. The reason why they don't require for them to wear rubber is because those guys, but they blow the standards out the water. There are no more standards. It just is what it is. They can't wait to get pregnant. They can't wait to have a real one's baby. That's it.
Well, in the Black community, I will say this. I've been hearing this conversation since I was in middle school that women, especially in the Black community, I don't know about any other community, will have a man's baby, especially if he already has baby mamas and stuff, will do so because he's tall, he has good genetics, facial symmetry, and you know,
I don't even know what symmetry means.
And well endowed. Sometimes
y'all don't even know what symmetry.
I'm just giving you what
the last woman that I asked that was trying to talk symmetry, she was trying to copy off my motherfucking paper in class. Y'all don't even take math, like y'all don't know. It ain't that complicated. It ain't that complicated. Y'all busting it down for a real one. You busting it down for money. You busting it down for clout. You busting it down because you just like to bust it down.
It's desperation too.
So, fellas,
in the conversation of financials, it says that married couples make $113,000 a year on average.
We got to get back.
So if you get married,
we got to get back to the core
support a child
of separating the haves and the have-nots. All right?
If you live within your means as a married couple, you should be able
to make sure that we separate the haves and the have-nots. There was a time where we understood that woman is a hoe over there and that woman is a wife over there. All right. So fuck they little equations, fuck the whatever it is that they talking about. You just gonna have to be able to have dick discipline with the right type of women or with the wrong type of women, and then be able to do what you're gonna have to do. Whatever.
What does dick discipline look like, Anton? I don't think I've actually ever heard anyone expand on what the benefits and what the action of having dick discipline looks like and how that aids in us not having these issues, especially in the Black community with a bunch of single mothers. Like, what does the dick discipline do?
I wrote a book.
So, for example, I think that too many guys are dealing with dusty bitches. So, for example, the fact that we even date down is a problem. That means that we dealing with low IQ women that don't have as much to lose. We dealing with low IQ women that don't have as much to lose as us. But because, there's so much access when you get to a certain level in life, then a lot of times they allow that to cloud their judgment instead of making an informed decision. And now we in a space to where a lot of times we kind of confusing a chick that's bad and not being able to say, yeah, she bad, but she for all of us, versus a chick that is a good mother. You know what I'm saying? So having big discipline, number one, is first not dealing with low-level chicks. All right? Just because you can have them don't mean that they should even be around us. And I ain't even talking about the sex part yet. It's certain women that should not even be in your sphere. They lower your value. They make you look bad. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think it's a cop-out for men to say, you know what, I know she's easy. I know she won't hold me to a standard. Like, they have an option over here, a woman, that has her life together, has things in order, is goal-oriented, but doesn't have any attraction to her. And it sees a
woman about your goals. We don't.
No, well, you know what I mean? A wife material. Let me just put it this way. Wife material. Okay.
I don't even know.
A bad bitch.
You're asking a question that's not even relevant because
I think
most of y'all
already deem as low value.
Most women today don't qualify for a wife. They don't qualify to be a wife.
I've heard you say that.
The problem with the industry today is that we are stuffing square pegs and round holes. We are promoting marriage, but we're not promoting the foundation of what make you a wife in the first place. And that's the problem. We keep saying just get married and marry before you carry, but we didn't set. It's too many households that's being raised, and women don't even know how to carry themselves as wives. So that's what I'm saying. We're looking at low-level women. We're marrying low-level women when we do get married because we wind up settling for women that don't qualify for where we're going. They don't even deserve to be in our presence a lot of times, but we settle for them because a lot of times it's a lot of reasons. Society tells us that's what we're supposed to do. We just supposed to rock with them, so on and so forth. But a lot of these women, honestly, they don't qualify to be with the type of man that they say that they want to be with.
I gotta say,
and a lot of those women are advertising themselves on social media.
Sorry, let me just say this real quick. I just want to bring this back to the question about financial struggling people having kids. So this is like, I'm going to assume it's between two couples. So if you know that you don't have the resources, I strongly believe that the man and the woman or whoever it is should come together and have a discussion about family planning. And I think that that's a lot of things that people don't think about. They just If you ask a lot of women or men, they always say that, oh, it wasn't planned. I didn't plan to have a kid at this age. So I think that it all boils down to family planning. If you know that you don't have the resources, and like someone said here about their grandma saying that there was nothing else to do. Well, in this day and age, and I feel like even in the US, you can get a job. If there's nothing else to do, you should get a job. If you want to have 3, 4, 5 jobs, just so that you can be busy and you can build up your money, you can build your money up, or you can get resources, you should be finding something to do. There is ways that you can go to school. There is so many things that you can use with your time than just having sex. So family planning definitely is something that people need to circle back to. Financial people just sitting at home, just waiting for handouts or whatever it is you're waiting for, and then being bored and humping and having all these babies because they know they're gonna get taxes and get money back. That's a crazy concept to me. So I feel like they should definitely start learning family planning. They should definitely be going to school. They should definitely be getting jobs. There's a lot of job opportunities in the US. And I feel like once people start getting jobs, start getting paid, have a bank account, save money and everything else, you will be able to at least be financially stable to have, I mean, you can have 3, 4, 5 kids. You can have those kids with assistance from the government. You don't just have to get a handout from the government completely. You need assistance, yes, but you also need to have sufficient amount of funds to be able to raise those babies that you're having. So that's just my answer.
But the thing is, as soon as, but Izzy, you make a point, Izzy. But as soon as the woman thinks like, even though it's not usually logical, that she posts a picture on Instagram, busting it wide open, and then dudes just say, okay, no, I don't take her seriously no more, and then dudes just run in to get a piece of it, and all that stuff that they were talking about, all that logical stuff that they were trying for a few minutes is all out the window because a lot. Like Anto said, a lot of people advertise. They might say all this stuff, but they advertise one-night stands on social media. So even though people think like this, they advertise one-night stands.
These low-level chicks, bro.
This is why I talk
I think that 95% of these women out here that y'all dealing with is low level.
They love it, Anton. This is love.
Low level.
This is why
I hate to tell you this, but they love it.
This is why
they won't leave them alone.
This is why I talk to men about this, right? I got a phrase that I tell men on my coaching calls. I tell them, I say, if you don't come from her or you don't come in her, then she can't do nothing but work for you or twerk for you. It literally ain't no in between. These women will make a baby with the wrong man before they make a sandwich for the right one. So you can't expect her to have the same level of accountability that you have to have as a man, because if you're relying on her to do what she's doing, then you have the accountability of a woman, because that means you're downplaying yourself, like Anton said, with lower grade women, and you're going to reproduce low level learners. You know what I'm saying? Because you come from the same cloth.
I see a lot more low level men having kids with
because the low level men are raised by low level women. You can't have sex with somebody that's better than you.
How's that high level woman though?
Huh?
How's that high level woman if she's busting it down for a dusty dude?
Well, that's
how's that high level woman?
What do you mean by busting it down? What does that mean?
Like Flowers,
Meaning, you could be. Okay, go ahead, bro.
All of these men and women that we keep talking about that keep reproducing with each other are all raised the same way. They all come from the single parent structure. It's not the onus on the married couples. It's not the onus on the men that don't have children. The women can only blame the men that they had sex with. It's not every other man that's out there. If you're not attracted to the guy and you didn't make your baby with him, then you need to deal with the type of men that you attract, that you allow, and that you enable to keep reproducing with. That's it. Because if men were running around here committing sexual assault and then impregnating women against their will, then this conversation would be way different. You know what I'm saying? But the type of men that keep getting discussed are the weakest men that are raised by the worst women. That's why if you look at the prison population as a sample size, those men come from the same type of home structure. The women that produce them have the same type of behavior, attitude, and a lack of respect for a male-led household. They don't even respect
what age do these men grow up? What age do these men grow up?
They don't.
Like, we are tired. We are bored of the single
grow up.
women.
That's the point.
They have to.
They have to, but that's not reality. That's the point.
So how do we hold them accountable, Victor? If you know that they are supposed to
you hold them accountable. You hold them accountable by not reproducing with them. You hold them accountable. You hold them accountable by not putting yourself in a vulnerable position to reproduce with them.
And not having
That's
sex.
it.
I do agree with that.
You hold yourself accountable by growing up when you turn 18 and
You can't expect
actually learning
people.
and becoming a better person.
You can't expect people that's poorly raised to correct themselves as fast as other people that's been raised with different culture. You can't. Their culture is poor.
Definitely expect people to do that.
Bruh, you are
That's how you
trying
hold
to
yourself
convince
accountable.
women en masse that are waiting. Bruh, have y'all ever seen some of them shows where women are literally going to seek men that are in prison?
Yeah.
What are y'all doing? Y'all trying to. Women are dumb.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Sexually
Y'all are just straight up dumb. Y'all, I
Sexually
don't know what
autistic.
y'all doing. Y'all trying to convince. Man, y'all acting like these dudes are ever going to have a shortage of box and a shortage of availability. It don't matter if you're just now getting out of prison. It don't matter. None of that matters, bro. Stop trying to convince them, slot them accordingly, and leave them to themselves. Let them suffer. The problem with most guys today is that the accountability conversation teaches you the nature of a woman and that they're always going to be deceitful at heart, right? So you manage them effectively. I don't even believe, and I said this before, I'm going to say it again. I don't believe that most women that even present themselves to be smart, that shows themselves to be awesome, that is phenomenal wives, I don't think that they that phenomenal. I think that they are just being trained by the men that they are with. They deserve they getting too much credit. Y'all giving these women too much credit. If you left her to herself, if you left her to start opening her mouth, you left her to start talking, she's gonna show you exactly how modern she is and how much different she is without the man that she's with. It's that man that's really giving her the game, that's really controlling her, that's putting her in a position, and that is really presenting her to be a great woman. That's very much the truth for most relationships. The women that you worship, that you say, oh, she a good woman. Oh, she got a good man that's really controlling her and putting her in her place. That's A. B, for the guys, this is the advice. Fuck what they talking about. What you're gonna have to do is stop being a cleanup man.
Yep.
The reason that they feel compelled to go out here, slut it out, live their life, have a moment where they can be freaky, then they come back and they say, you know what, I've changed. I got 3 kids and I want to be a better woman now. I'm raising my standards. Is because there's always somebody that's going to pick up the pieces and play another man's save game. Stop playing other man's save game. Leave them be. That's not your kid. That's not your child. Stop trying to fix him. Leave that little nigga where he at.
Yep.
I applaud the men who are refining women.
Low-level women,
it's their job.
Plotting them in the same position. Leave them be for the streets. Stop trying to fix a household and be Captain Save-A-Ho. Let them be. Y'all doing too much.
Anton, I have a question.
Doing way too much.
Anton, I have a question.
I want to fix the community, but she's a good girl. But no, she's a good one. Listen, I know she been fucked on by about 80 different dudes, but she really was a good girl. She just needed to be unbroken.
They only dealing with the men.
Anton, they want you to explain low level. What does low level mean to you?
Anton, I have a quick question. Do you also think that the other side of the solution is for men to also stay on their purpose and not make women their god?
A woman should have never been your god in the first place.
So it's on.
That's what got you. That's what got you kicked out the garden, is because you hearken to the voice of a woman. Can't no woman tell me nothing. They can give me some. They can give me some insight so I can make a better decision. But can't no woman control what I.
Well, I'm talking about as far as like just only like just focusing on the woman, as far as like being lustful.
Never focus on a woman. I don't even care if you get married. Even if you are married, you don't focus on a woman. You focus on your purpose.
Yep.
Your goal is to be guided by God, not a woman. I'm telling you, as a man that has been married for well over 2 decades, it'll be 21 years in roughly 9 days. Never make a woman your purpose. I'm going to beat that into y'all until y'all really understand it. Never worship women. She does not control you. She cannot tell you what to do. You are your own person. You are your own man. Stop worshiping these women, bro. Stop it. You're doing too much.
Facts.
Women don't even like men that worship them.
They're not
Like
gonna
men like that. So
It's the purposeless men and women that keep reproducing with each other.
That's what I was trying to get at. Like, yeah, Victor, facts.
Yep.
Aren't they compatible? Wouldn't that make them compatible for each other? If you're low level and they're low level, you have no choice but to be with each other, because a low level woman can't be with a man who is not low, and a low level man can't be with a woman who isn't. So it's like you were meant to be with each other. You were meant to procreate.
But in this case, I don't think a negative and negative makes a positive in this case.
No, I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying that's what happens.
You're absolutely right. Those people that they are a pool of options for themselves. Actually, that's the dating pool. The single parents, you take the single parents out of the dating pool, it goes back to normal. So the only people that they can attract are people that match equal level of self-esteem. You know, you're your baby daddy. They're doing low self-esteem breeding practices, and that is the case because even animals know how to reproduce. Even roaches know when to reproduce. They got mating seasons for certain animals. You know what I'm saying? So I call them sexually undisciplined. There's sexually disciplined people and sexually undisciplined people. The sexually undisciplined people are raised by women.
Bro. Let me tell you something, bro. When you focus too much on a woman, even a woman that you're in a relationship with, she'll grow to resent you.
Yep.
She'll grow to resent you. You have to not give a fuck, bro.
Yep, you have
to. It doesn't mean that you don't do nice things. It doesn't mean that you don't take care of her. It doesn't mean that you don't show up and do stuff, but you have to detach yourself, bro. You cannot. I cringe when I see y'all niggas beg for pussy. When y'all be complaining about being in a sexless marriage, so what? Fuck her. Share her loss. Her loss. Listen, the minute that you stop caring so much is the minute that she'll worship you. She'll worship you. I know that y'all think that the play is so, oh my God, I have to show her. Don't you realize that you going crazy over a woman that she'll bust it down for a dude that has nothing if given the right opportunity and put in the right space, and that from a nigga that could just control her head, and you doing all of this shit, you think that you buying her flowers every single day you can't even sustain that shit, is gonna put her in a position where she is so head over heels for you. She don't give a fuck about you. Y'all so dumb. I wish I could just wake guys up and give them a master class on how to be successfully married. Y'all worshiping these women and they worshiping everybody else. I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, you need to stop worrying about what she say. She gonna say communicate more effectively. Just don't just look at her dumb. Like, I got you. Turn her over, arch her back, and fix her. You know what I'm saying? Like,
never yours, it's only your turn.
Stop giving them too much attention. You're gonna have to spread it out, you're gonna have to space it out, you're gonna have to give her some time to miss you. But you niggas that keep on working from home and she working from home, get the fuck out of there, bro. Stop being so easily available. Stop answering on the first goddamn ring.
Yep.
Oh my God, she called me. Put the goddamn phone down, bro.
Let it breathe.
You're busy. You're doing men shit. You're hooping. You're doing fun shit. You're going out, and you don't always have. Stop giving her your goddamn location every single day.
Give her the location.
Don't give.
No.
Don't listen to her. How long you been married? How long you been married? Who said give her the location?
You. Give her the location. It was me. I said give her the location.
No,
okay, location is right.
That's your location. Why you can't give
I thought that was my snow bunny down there that said that. My bad. But my point is that
I do locations with my wife.
So easily accessible.
Yeah.
So she
you
make
get her location. She don't need your shit. She don't need your shit. She don't need your location. And if you can't tell your chick, you know what? This is how we moving, and you just gonna have to trust me. I'm not really interested in answering her questions. I'll reveal it to you as we go. If she don't trust you, then that's not the one that you're supposed to be with. If she don't follow your leadership and your judgment and is 100% on board, then y'all need to just walk away. Stop thinking that you're not gonna get another one. It's always upgrades. Have y'all ever played GTA 5? Have y'all ever seen?
Oh yeah, GTA.
There's always new upgrades. I promise you. I promise you.
Anton is
I agree with that though.
the
I do know
answer
cases
for
where-
all the
good
men
that
who want to
look
be
good.
with like
These
good
men are not
women.
good looking enough to have all these options. So they know they don't have options. That's why they stay where they are, and they should
They
stay
do
there.
have options. They just don't realize
No,
how
they
great
don't.
they are because
They do not
they're
have
being,
options.
they have a lot of options. They keep listening to women like you tell them they ain't got no options.
They don't have no options.
There's a thousand.
You're gonna keep men single.
One of you.
You're gonna keep men
single. I done got more people married than you will ever believe in your life.
I tell men
that's a fact. That's a whole fact.
I tell men and
Marco,
women.
you said it's 1,000 of us. 1,000 of what? What do you mean?
There is like for every 100 attractive women, there's only like 2.5 attractive men. So they don't have any options.
Oh, wait a minute, y'all. I can't hear shit. Wait a minute, Bishop. Say it again. I couldn't hear you.
I said there's 1,000 of y'all. There's only one of me.
Talk
So 1,000 women or 1,000 whores?
There's 1,000 of it. Take it how you want. It's 1,000 of y'all.
I'm asking, like, do you mean, like, seriously? I mean it, because Anton said there are women that are not meant to be wild. So do you think when you say there are more options to pull from sluts, or more options to pull from good quality women? When you say, if I don't have one,
even sluts have standards too. So
what do you mean, Izzy? Let him answer.
Listen, there's 1,000 of y'all. There's only one of me. I am invaluable.
Fuck that shit. You figure
invaluable.
Yep. And look, restrictive criteria.
Man, why are there so many sexually undisciplined men today? If there's only one of you, why?
Because they keep getting raised by women.
So then there is no 1,000. There is no 1,000 then.
You're furthering my point.
There is nothing like that. You guys have no
furthering
options.
my
You have
point,
no options. That's why you stay in a miserable marriage. You have no option. That's why you say happy wife, happy life. You have no option. That's why you're like, I let her do whatever it is she wants to do because I don't want to stress
I don't know
out.
about
You
happy
have
wife,
no
happy life.
option. So
Happy
you stay
man,
where you
God,
are because
One
that's the
mic,
only
one mic.
option that you have.
Sorry.
They have no options.
There's an aspect
don't
to
have
men.
any options, and that's why you remain where you are.
But Izzy, there's an aspect to men that are accountable. They're accountable and they work out problems. They know that they have to lead. Like, I'm not about to just jump out of something. I'm gonna lead. What's going on here? I'm gonna lead this situation. I'm gonna make sure I'm putting things together in a way that needs to be for my family. I know my family needs to learn. We need to go through certain challenges. So most men are not just gonna quit a situation just because something isn't going.
Bro, do you know that I will?
And that's why they have high blood pressure.
Hey, let me jump right there with the option part that Bishop talked about. The other thing that's coming into play is this. Black women don't have the same options for marriage that black men have because other races of women will marry black men.
I will agree with that.
So like, ain't no passport bros coming from Europe looking for women with somebody else's kids.
Y'all overthinking it. Just hang up on her and keep it moving, bro.
Men, that's why. Like,
And also, there's a difference between Lexi box and sex box as well.
When we start seeing passport girl movements, then this conversation will make a lot more sense. Because most
women have more sense than to advertise themselves doing that. But men are the ones that don't have sense that are doing passport bros. Women travel outside to marry all the time.
Hear what I'm saying.
Women have been traveling outside to marry all the time. It's been happening.
Let me finish my point.
It's been happening, but they don't come out to advertise it or show off for whatever reason.
If you look at the marital
rate,
do that. If you look at the marital rate, black women only marry out at like a 15% rate. Or I think it's single digits if I'm not mistaken. So what I'm saying,
as far as like outside their race,
marry each other.
But if you look at the
stats, black women are marrying white men, and their marriage lasts longer. You have to check the stats. Black women are marrying black men at a lower rate. They're marrying Asians.
We're talking is like insane.
Stop. You're talking to a brick wall. Listen, if y'all can get white men, go get them.
Go get them.
Nobody is trying to hold y'all hostage. We not trying to keep y'all captive. Go do your thing. Go marry all the women.
You don't want black women.
Usually those situations not really like out of like real love. So that's the reason why
they talking like that's a threat. Okay, go get that nigga have the leftovers. Then we don't care.
He said that black men are marrying black women at a lower rate, and I said
no, I didn't say that.
The same thing.
That's what you said.
No. I said black women are marrying out at a much lower rate outside of the race than black men. And what I'm saying is black people are married to each other 93% of the time. Black women make up a single black women are marrying out at a single digit percentage because what group of men is coming to marry American black women?
Let them have it. Let them, if they can get them, go
That
get them.
is true. There are a lot of black women occupying our community that is not making it look good. Out of the 13, I think black women make up, 7 or 8% of that 13.6%.
Yeah.
And I don't know what percent of that. I'm gonna call it 5. Yeah. But there are a lot of women with loud, wild hair colors, the long eyelashes, the masculine vernacular, how they stand, how they walk, the type of conversations that they have. It just doesn't make us look good as women in the black community. So I will say, I can't say if it's more or less.
Well, I can't relate. All the Nigerians now, Nigerian community are all married and very happy. So
the argument would hit better if men from foreign countries would travel into America to marry American black women. You don't have a metric.
They would want to, and black women wouldn't want to.
Why would anybody from a different country come to America and say, give me one of them thick chicks from Tennessee with somebody else's kid?
Why do you guys speak about your women with such animosity? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
We're talking about. I'm only talking about the women. I'm only talking about the
Wait. Hold on, y'all. Hold on.
I'm married to a black woman, so
Victor.
What's up?
Victor. What would they say if they came from overseas again?
Why would anybody from a different country come to America and say, give me one of them thick bitches with somebody else's kids so I could go ahead and marry and be baby daddy number 3?
Where would they be from? No girl.
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
You said Tennessee.
Yeah, give me one of them.
Tennessee is crazy.
Give me one of them thick bitches from Tennessee, from Memphis, that got pistols on them and shit with somebody else's kids. Said nobody ever. Ain't nobody running.
What kind of tattoos would they have?
They probably got throat goat on there, and what? They got their baby dressed
this is the image you guys put out about black women. This is such a weird.
Hold on, Victor. How much would they weigh?
How much they weigh? On the left side, about 380.
380 is diabolical.
Yeah.
I know you stretching it. A lot of black women are
the ones that's big.
400 pounds.
They the ones that's big.
Crazy.
Like, do you think the majority?
Nah, like maybe like 275.
Oh, okay. On the left side, we'll give them that. Like, give me one of them fatherless black women with somebody else's kids. The first slip.
Well, you also look big, but black men are also big.
Right now.
Black men are also big.
Don't worry about it. Like, we talking about black women right now and why women are the most divorced and the least married, and black men still manage to marry black women at a 93% rate.
It's the music.
And marry outside the race.
It's the music.
You're also big.
Sad to watch black men.
You're bashing black women for what?
Oh my God.
What you got to answer?
Where they tattoos at on their body?
Oh, they got that panther tattoo on the chest. They got that Black Panther crawling up on the inner thigh. They got you know what I'm saying? twerk
Seems
videos.
like you've been with a lot of black women with tattoos.
Huh?
But Victor, look at the music too. If you look at
like who?
Gorilla, Megan Thee Stallion talking about it.
Yeah, they get married.
Women out neither.
They get married with slut music playing in the wedding.
Yeah.
What about
do they have? Also, they're getting married to these women.
Do they have septum nose rings?
No, we're not.
Yeah. Oh yeah. With the crystals.
What the Victor, did you say your wife is black?
Yes, ma'am.
I think he's talking about the pool of black.
What does that mean, Ty? What does that mean?
I just think it's crazy what y'all let come out of your mouth in reference to.
What's crazy is the example. No. What's crazy is the example.
Why don't you talk positive about the woman that you're with?
We talking about behavior. My wife on the same sheet of music I'm on.
In general.
My wife is on the same sheet of music that I'm on. She said black.
Yo, Victor, you don't let nobody. Victor, don't let nobody censor you.
Ain't nobody finna censor me because my wife knows. My wife follows what I say, and she says that black women will mess around and be 35-year-old grandmamas out here chasing.
What do I do?
You talk horrible about black women when you
No,
get married.
we're talking about. I'm talking about the black women that fit the behavior. Not every black woman fits the behavior.
Yeah,
that
I
I'm
don't
talking
think
about.
that they're saying that you're like this because you're black. It's like talking about the low pool.
No, we're talking about the ones that fit the
But why
behavior.
does every conversation have to end up with bashing black women? Why can't we highlight the thing?
We're only
but let me tell you the difference.
Statue in New York. Does she have a tattoo on the
We're only talking about the black women that fit the behavior. If you don't fit the behavior, I'm not talking about you.
Hold on, Vic. Hold on, Vic.
I mean, yeah, if it don't
Hold
apply,
on,
then-
hold
Many
on.
tattoos on their face, on their tongue, and all of
if
those.
it don't apply, then apply.
Hold on. Here's the thing. I talk bad about black culture, the things that we celebrate the most. And if it don't apply, then let it fly. The difference is I actually have a phenomenal person that's in my corner. And the thing about it is that she's never offended because none of the things that I say is applicable to her.
Exactly.
And she's way head and shoulders above all of these hoes out here in these streets. She ain't never been with another man except for me. She was a virgin in real time. So, it's a high level, it's a high bar. She don't speak unless I tell her to speak. She move accordingly, and she the beneficiary of my greatness. So she not the average chick.
Tied to the men's point, they are always talking about hood women.
No. Let's be clear. She not the average chick. It's different for her. She don't qualify to be a part of these conversations. She be laughing. You know what I'm saying? So she different. She good. She all the way good.
Yeah, I don't think the men are talking about black women specifically. They're just talking about the hood culture, which women inhabit.
I was just
Right,
saying
but the thing is,
overall,
the title
I'm
of this
talking about behavior.
Gotta do one mic, and then we gotta go super chats.
I'm talking about behavior. If you don't fit the behavior, then it's nothing to talk about. That's just it. If you are above that
You're making a
behavior,
caricature
then we're
out
talking
of
about
your
sexually
counterpart black
disciplined.
women.
We're talking about sexually disciplined
Yes,
versus
oh.
sexually undisciplined black women. They exist because men that get married, they are sexually disciplined in most cases. Y'all can talk about
No,
cheating
they're
and
not.
all the other
No,
stuff.
they're
No,
not.
you can only talk about the men that you have experienced. I don't give my wife the problems that you're talking about that associate with the men that you're speaking on. Again, I keep going back to women can only talk about the men that they had sex with. They can't talk about the men they can't attract. They can't talk about the men that they didn't make their kids with. So you got to look at what's the source of your attraction to a specific type of man. See, when we start generalizing, that's what women always hate. They hate when you talk about generalizations, but attraction is very specific. Because there's women that are coming from 2-parent homes that are not going to be attracted to men from single parent homes. So
But if you're
that's why
married and happy,
this
what's
is
your
why
business with all of
this
these
is why I
women?
keep going back to the same people that keep reproducing with each other are the low-level learners that keep reproducing with low-level learners. These women that I'm talking about will make a baby with the wrong man before they make a sandwich for the right one.
Okay.
It's funny because I'm trying to figure out why is Ty so offended if that's not applicable to her life either.
Yeah.
Everybody can't go. You gotta let
black women.
You gotta let the
I'm
ones
just
that
asking.
can't make it.
I'm
Everybody
asking
can't go.
why if this ain't your fight, then what do you care?
You talk about things that are not your fight all the time.
No.
Aren't we just having a
Asking
conversation?
You can't.
I am answering your question specifically. I'm not offended by anything he's saying. I just think it's
everybody can't go.
Kind of, it's hard to hear about how he views the black woman and how it's comical. Mind you, I am a black woman, so
I'm talking about the black women that fit the behavior.
Wait. Hold on, Vic.
My bad.
Is it how he views it, or is that how the majority of women project?
It's how the conversation is presented.
So at what point will you say, man, why are the majority of women actually projecting themselves to be this way?
I've had that conversation. I acknowledge that conversation. I don't have an issue with that. I'm just saying that overall we can have a productive conversation as adults about what is the issue, but the narrative is so, I guess,
true. It's so
comical.
true.
It's so comical and degrading that we're not getting to any.
We dealing with the majority of our women are
big black women who are just not able to get married because they're whores, right?
That's a fact.
Okay, so we're just gonna keep repeating that narrative
Well, then
It's not a narrative,
listen,
it's true.
stereotypes aren't given, they're earned.
Fine, but that's what I'm saying. In vice versa,
If
y'all don't. When they're putting stereotypes,
overwhelmingly, y'all are the least married as a collective, are the biggest weighing as a collective, are the most highly diseased as a collective, and have the loudest mouths on top of it. You can't tell us not to ignore our reality and then feel some type of way because we speak on it and have a conversation about the truth.
okay, and vice versa.
Yeah, I do the same thing happens when we set up a men accountable. Y'all do the same thing. It's like it when we
we consider gods in the world. Everywhere we go, we king.
No, because just like you said,
listen,
you have
there is no better place to be than in 2025 as a black man. You are winning in life. A lot of us haven't realized our greatness yet.
Well, then why are you saying that women are taking half of the properties and you guys are going to
They worship us in America. They worship us worldwide. All we got to do is dig down deep and make sure that we 100% focus on our greatness instead of continuing to subject ourselves to the lowest common denominator. The minute that we unlock our greatness, the world is our throne. The world is our kingdom. There is nothing that we cannot have and nowhere where we won't be worshipped.
I agree with that, Anton.
As long as we focus on ourselves, we are winners. And all I'm trying to tell my fellas to do is recognize.
But you're not focusing on yourself. You're focusing on black women.
Go where you celebrate it.
You're not focusing on yourself. Y'all never do.
And that's all we got to do is continue to level up.
They know about women that are
comes along with it. You do not have to subject
know about pants,
the loudest amongst
know
us.
about long nails,
subject yourself to the worst amongst us, and you don't have to subject yourself to the most unruly. That's all I'm saying.
But what's stopping men from doing that?
We gotta get to the super chats.
They're raised by women.
We gotta get to the next subject.
No, okay, we're gonna talk about that, Victor, because that's the second time you see it.
Listen, whatever we're talking about now is kind of leads to the next topic. So, and then we'll get to that. But shout out to everybody in the chat. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit the like button, y'all. If the likes are very low. Will says they don't spray it. Marigold says, why women are bad at math. Quentin says, Megan low-key said you blacks can't stay on this topic. Eddie says, straight facts from this Irie girl. Shout out to you, Eddie. Quinn says, Megan tweaking. Eddie again says, wrong. We can stop paying for their children. Empire Foundation says, growing up, half of the women/teens on my block got pregnant by broke dudes and kept it. Phil says, on these panels, usually the main female talking is very wrong. Ty, if the shoe fit, wear it. Please do more listening. You will learn from Anton. I don't know. Says, as soon as Megan started talking, Jazz went off about white folks. You have a lot of hatred in your heart, Jazz. White people aren't evil. Your heart is. Jazz not even on the panel. Jetlag says, I don't know.
In the comments going back and forth with people.
Ray says, like Aaron, the plumber said the burger has more value than your box women. Obi says, for the women, what duties to society do women have? G-Lock says, we can't get a woman pregnant and get a check. Eddie B says, we should not allow abortion. Bet that'll make you more accountable and keep those legs and Pookie out of the pocket. We/not responsible for your mistakes. Alex says, your body, your choice, and my wallet. My choice. Update family court laws so instantly solve the problem and place work requirements for any government assistance and Tom for president. Corey says, hey, you across the boat mofos be having babies too. Magenta said, did someone say government? MVP says, she said American women like island women not posing kids out the same rate. Huh? G-Lock says, broke ninjas shouldn't get cheeks. Oh, checks. No cheeks. Sorry, read it wrong. Jaquan says, this service is bad, y'all. Sorry. Jaquan says, that's not true, Izzy. We only demonize the abortions if we're pro-life or if it's a situation where the man wants a kid, but she goes through it with his consent or knowledge. That's wrong as F. Jason says, since Dalen would disregard his feelings about having a baby, I hope she keeps that same energy and disregard his monetary support. Leland says, one of the worst actions against society is to purposely have a child knowing you cannot care for one. In my opinion, it should be considered criminal in society, and both parents should be convicted for pre-child neglect. Quinn says, you can always delete the baby, but nah, y'all want to have it anyway. Mr. Martinez, shout out to you. Thank you for the 50 ball. We appreciate you guys. He says, got the pit bull in the corner. She pregnant. Got the crackhead in the corner. She pregnant. Everybody in here pregnant. Except my partner. And then, but we getting this money though. I'm telling you that. 2 Chains. What's up, Mika? How hard is it to close your legs? Like really, it's hard for these ladies. Quinn says women don't get pregnant if you nut her booty, Dalen.
Oh wow.
Says women are so weak by holding men accountable or something they have complete control over. Cam says y'all keep saying to the men that ain't ish. You can't stop poor people from having kids. They have the most kids for a reason, and it has to do with what your grandma said. That is historical. MVP says, make it make sense. How y'all complaining about men, but y'all opening y'all legs and not telling him put a condom on? Y'all want to stay victims. Dondre says, why y'all having casual flings anyway? Then Nettie says, Nick Cannon has 6 baby mamas. Future has 8 baby mamas. Jazzy Fizzle has 22 baby mamas. That's 36 sexual irresponsible women versus 3 sexual irresponsible men. Math ain't hard, ladies. That's a good point.
Oh, wow.
A lot of women get bamboozled by losers. Mr. DJ says, so Dylan must really hate accountability, but love being a gold digger just to fund her lifestyle. Quinn said, all men have is hypocrisy. We give women all the credit for making the babies, but want to share the accountability when it comes to consequences. Women literally have the premium selection. Kanali says, I thought men didn't care about women's money. So why are we worried about women not being financially sound when it comes to having kids? Quinn, Victor, shut up. Phil says, if you look all around when you talk, you're probably wrong. Lex says, hey, Q, having intercourse with no money is crazy. Y'all be turned on broke. Hey, Lex, you want to join the panel? Hit me up, girl. Ray says, women can always use Plan KYLC, aka keep your legs closed. Natasha says, 80% of men Anton's age have kids. Stop the cap. DeQuinn says, Marvel, Victor, and Lawrence are cooking this panel. I don't know. Says, are women not aware they brought back polygamy? Eddie B says, don't impregnate. That's straight up crazy. You control access, or did you forget that? Like the great Kevin Samuel said, accountability is like kryptonite to a woman. Right on, Victor. Cam says, Victor with the sense in vain, though. Dodger says, like the ninjas. A Black Beauty says, quick, Megan, finish the record. Rush, rush. Cam says, de-discipline is risk management, period. You don't deal with the trash, and trash don't have an income bracket, to be clear, for my PhDs. Jesse says, women only lay with their better half. Mioli says, marry before you carry and live within your means at top. G-Lock says, all I see is tight clothes and skin. It's hard. Eddie B says, thank you, Anton, for the low-level comments. Quinn says, you can't talk about de-discipline when women are rewarding it and perpetuating the very same market they complain about. Miss me with the hypocrisy. Mika says, you have to be raised to be a wife. Marigold says, P in the V to make a baby. Cam from TMR Video says, this ain't how it works, Izzy. Humans need dopamine. This is psychology. Poor people have the most kids because there's nothing quicker and easier for the rush of sex. Obi says, Dylan, I feel sorry for your current boyfriend. I feel sorry for your future husband. I even feel sorry for your cat. Ashley says, 40% of men are childless, yet 47% of women are childless. Not a huge difference, but more women are childless than men. 50% of women are responsible. Quentin, who the hell calling you for coaching? Refunds? Steven says, survey suggests a global average of around 9 sexual partners during a person's life. God's judgment on sin can take 100 years. The Big Euro Short says, I was raised by a single mom, and shout out to her, but it's hard to pick a good woman when you don't even understand what exactly it looks like. Cam says, Izzy, you naive. Not everyone is smart, educated, moral, have values. Some men just ain't going to grow the F up, period. It is your job to avoid these men. Eddie says, accountability is like kryptonite for low-level women. Dondre says, they love the Duke Dennises of the world. Steven says, bring up the church membership in LA historical chart. It is highly correlated with the decline. Kelvin says, 70% childless and single, grow up. I don't have to. Congo English says, concur Anton, Izzy, log off. The Big Euro Short says, I got more box when I stopped chasing it. G-Lock says, focus on your bag and the options are endless. MVP says, Izzy talking crazy. Tell her, take the hat off. Quentin says, Victor has all the talking points. Montreal Leo says, Izzy mad because Black Panther didn't choose her. Dictator says, "Win Tennessee crab legs and eyelashes." Quentin says, "Victor can't talk about nobody's weight with his full face."
I'm a power
"Thank
lifter.
you." Mic drop for Victor. Exactly right. They weigh more than men. Kevin Samuel, sorry, don't want you, or you already be chosen. MVP says they put a fat statue of Black woman in New York City. Dondre says, avoid women with butterfly tattoos. I don't know, says, Izzy saying women are supposed to be big like that, man. Jaquin says, Victor's cooking these women, bro. Terry says, they are mad about what Victor said about Black women, but what he said is actually observable reality. We celebrate hood behavior. Quentin says, ties and angry Black women. Abdul says, Black women are the clippers of women. Dongo English says, interesting tie. You come on Anton advertising your beauty flesh, posting up with bad breath. Growth men will never entertain you. The scent is too strong. I mean, she's married, though, so I don't care about being entertained. But shout out to Super Beast of Dollar Ball. Leland says, Victor, I hear you on the effect of single mothers raising boys, but I'm a product of a single mom, and I promise you there's no deficiency in this man. Your choices as an adult and your moral substance makes the man you are. Bing.
Exception.
James says, you have my support. I'm following you now. That was a masterclass, Victor logic, and keeping it simple for everybody to understand. Chef's kiss. Eddie says, the vast majority of Black men want Black women. But if you look at what's out there at the time we unlock it, you're trying to tell me this is who we got to pick from? Better be looking for Angela, Q, and Mally. Cam from TMR Radio says, wrong tie. We are focusing on ourselves. That's the point of this space, is to educate men. If some women get educated and change, great. But you aren't the goal anymore. Anthony says, Ty, Black women box and Blockbuster stock cost the same. Bring Victor back on the show. Petition. Victor says, does Izzy have an on and off switch? Your jaw not tired? Dubman says, Ty with a typical tactical. Black women talk bad about Black men till they about to breathe. But the second we talk about Black women, we need to speak positive. Or is your woman Black? It's a manipulative way of getting you to shut up. Ty, is your husband? Oh, Jean says, Ty, is your husband happy with you? You're making me depressed watching you. And shout out to everybody that sent the super chat. We do appreciate you guys. Thank you. Here with us every Monday. Hit the like button. Tune into this. Tune into Anton's Millionaire Morning Show mañana morning. But we're not done. We're not done. Because do Black men, do they are Black women good enough for Black men? Are they? Let's tune into the next topic, because we're not done. We're almost.
Black women can never be good enough for Black men. Y'all say y'all want natural women, but we wear our hair natural, and it's really if you're natural and you have a curly hair pattern that y'all like, not if you're natural and you have a 4C. Y'all say y'all don't like makeup, but then y'all get the girls who wear makeup. It's just so confusing to us, and I feel like usually the men are supposed to be the head, right? So if the man is the head, then y'all are leading the conversation, and y'all are leading the trend of why we dress and do the things that we do, because ultimately it's to get a man, right? I mean, usually, not for all women, but for most women, it's to get a man. So we're going to do what's going to attract you. I mean, it's just basic nature. Like if you look at the animals and all that, they do what's going to attract their mates. Why does it seem like it's so tough for Black men and Black women to just love each other and love each other genuinely, and not have all these stipulations that we put on one another that we don't put on other races when we date outside of our own race? So sick of the hate that we spew against each other.
Okay. So I want to see what Megan thinks. Megan.
Oh, I can't.
Why you can't?
I can't speak on that. I don't.
Yes,
I don't
you can.
know.
No, you got Black friends?
I got a lot of Black friends.
Yeah. A little bit. Okay. So you can talk about it, because we talked about it.
You're asking her the wrong question.
Okay, what's the question?
Have you ever been with a Black man before?
No.
Okay.
Never. But a lot of my Black friends are with my white friends. So
why?
Wait. You said what? Said it
Less
again?
stress.
A lot of my black friends are
Black
dating.
male friends or white?
Yes, black male friends. Sorry, they're
With
dating
your white
women.
friends. And what
I'm-
do they say?
I'm with Laura.
You've never actually dated a black man before.
Never.
Okay.
Nope.
And what do they say about that?
Well, my black friends.
Yeah.
Oh, they make fun of me. Oh, once you have a black dick, you never
No.
go back.
What do they say about dating?
Not that part.
About dating your white friends?
What do they say?
Yeah.
That is, it's like a lot. I feel bad. It's calmer. Like,
Don't be scared to talk, Megan. We talk about all races on here. You know.
I know. I'm like the only white one here, and I'm like, I don't know, what I should say. A lot of my friends date white females because they feel like they're easily like they don't flip out all the time. They're wifey material, they work hard, they're good mothers, and all that stuff. But I don't feel like, I really don't.
Don't worry about it. Black women ain't gonna attack you.
Somebody's laughing.
No,
I'm
flowers.
laughing.
These black women ain't gonna
crazy.
attack you.
No, but Megan, what you said before, what you just said, men have said that. They said women of different races, different cultures, they're better to deal with, their attitudes, they're more respectful. So we've heard that before. So it's not just you. We've heard that on this panel plenty of times. Pastor Bros have said it. People that have encountered different races. So, and women have said that. Black women have said that dating to white men too. So
That's another thing too. So I've never been with anybody but Spanish men.
Black women have to actively search to be open-minded. They have to actually be proactive. Other cultures naturally have to. It's just, I'm from London. I can tell you, coming from London, coming to America, I tell you this. My wife is a black woman, but she's open-minded. She's a great thinker. She's a deep like, it's just a different mindset, but it's hard. I don't blame black women completely. I just feel like you all have to search to be more open-minded. You have to be a lot more intentional. You see a white woman with a black man, she most likely is open-minded. She most likely she's most likely thinking outside of the box. Not saying it's only her, not saying that black women can't do that, but just most likely. And then a lot of times, if someone tries to do anything that resembles black, oh, you're trying to be black. If someone tries to, and they say it like it's a negative connotation, when being black is a great thing. I think being black is phenomenal, but we keep associating bad things with blackness. And then now men, after a while, they start to see certain things. They're like, you know what? At the end of the day, stress is a big cause of men's death. And a lot of men think that blacks can be stressful. I mean, that's just the honest truth. And then guess what? Look at the music. Megan Thee Stallion, Glorilla, all these people. Look what they're rapping and talking about. When men want to marry and settle down, they don't want to be hearing that nonsense. Now, a woman can play that, that's fine, but not to be your Bible. Some women, they listen to Megan Thee Stallion more than they read the Bible. I mean, and most men that want to settle down, trust me, they don't like that mix. I'm just telling you right now. So
it sounds like you're talking about hood culture, Lars, right? Like a hood mentality, right? Not that it's a black woman, it's the hood cult, the hood mentality.
yeah, but here's the thing, though. I think for me, and I believe every culture can be phenomenal. I really do. I just think that when I've been in America, I feel like a lot of things have conformed people to easily fall within a certain mindset and then latch onto each other, latch onto the same beliefs, latch onto the same thought processes. So when someone is naturally from a different culture, usually they're more open-minded. And most men that are trying to build, masculine men that want to build, they're looking to go, like, we're looking to build a legacy. We're looking to put on for our family. We're looking to do something. So naturally you're thinking, okay, I'm 30-something years old. If I'm going to take a gamble and bet my money on if I'm going to find the right person for me, some men are thinking, you know what, let me try this. Just because of what I've seen, what I see on social media, what I see over here. Listen, let me try this. And I think most men.
I don't think it's hood culture. Dalen,
I don't think so either.
Are you hood, Dalen?
Hood? Absolutely. Now I grew up in a neighborhood, but I am not.
Jerry, are you hood?
Yes, you are. You hood.
So do y'all
where I'm from?
Dalen, do you listen to
Dalen?
Hold on, because he comes from me.
You finish my question, then you can go
I'm
for it.
asking you, who told you that you're not hood?
I'm going to be respectful to Q because I'm not hood, so I'm going to be
She's
quiet.
not hood. Do you listen to Megan Thee Stallion, Glorilla, Sexy Red?
I do not listen to Sexy Red, but I don't like Megan Thee Stallion that much. But when Glorilla comes on,
I
the
like
radio,
Love New Song. Yeah,
I listen to it.
It's not a hood. It's not hood. It's not just hood culture. We can't just say it's just hood culture.
Oh, I thought we
I
just
would
trying
say
to
when I
separate
hear-
what Lars was saying about like it might be different for Black women. If you have like a hood or like ghetto like mentality, it overshadows the Black American woman who doesn't present herself with the lower class of what hood mentality and hood behaviors look like, if that makes sense.
But I was
You know,
gonna
it's
say,
work
like,
industry.
I've never experienced what she's talking about, the girl in the video. Like, I've never experienced Black men not loving me. I never experienced Black men not liking my hair texture. I never experienced Black men not liking me as a woman. So when I hear these stories, and I'm not a light-skinned Black woman, so when I hear certain stories, I'm like, it's probably just you, baby girl, because I've never had a Black man disrespect. Well, I've had Black men disrespect me, but I've never had them disrespect me as far as, looks and things like that. So I personally can't relate to this conversation.
You can see what the woman in the video was saying about how they're treated. They hear what men say they like, and then they go and do that. And then when it's time to pick a product, should I say, they pick the very thing, not even just for their sexual appetite, as far as taking a relationship seriously and actually getting married. They typically go for the woman that looks the way that they claim that they did not like. So like when she said about her hair, we are always told, take that wig off, take this and that off.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, what I get from it, men, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not the issue of actual hair extensions or weaves that y'all don't like. It looks the most jacked up, it's stiff. You know what I mean? It's wild colors. It doesn't look like your natural hair. So it's not like, but when a woman wears her natural 4C hair, it may be short or it may not have like a nice curl pattern, doesn't curl when it's wet. They don't get approached as much as when they have like long tresses down to their back. Or if they wear
here's the thing. It's just most of a lot of what y'all do, it don't look natural. I'm gonna deviate a little bit, and I know this is probably gonna upset the fellas a little bit more, because I'm gonna just continue with the point that I talked about on After Hours, and that well, let me preface it like this. White women, most white women have extensions.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
They just present it a little differently, and it blends in a little bit more, and it looks a little bit more natural, and so it don't look as fake. But if she giving you some head and you put your hand on her head, you can feel them goddamn extensions.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you the truth. So I know that we pedestalize. I don't believe that white women or any women that is in America is too much different than any woman. It's just how they present themselves. I tend to think that white women are a lot more deceitful than other women. I think that they play the long game a little bit more, which it could seem like she actually likes you more, but in reality, she's going to take you to the cleaners more. And so I don't pedestalize any woman. I don't think that any woman is better than any woman. I agree with people having preference. I think that you should go with whoever it is that you want to talk to. I don't believe in discriminating. If you got a preference for white women, then rock out with them. If you got a preference for Black women, then rock out with them. But don't let your guard down, and don't think that they're going to treat you any better when it comes to that fucking family court. You're going to get your ass kicked. So I don't pedestalize any woman, especially white women. I don't pedestalize them at all. I think that they have a history. I mean, I look at the Amber Heards. I look at Harrison Ford's recent ex-wife that he's been with for a long time. I look at a lot of people as examples, and they kick ass and take names. So, when it comes to a lot of these women, I think that guys overly pedestalize certain women, and it's a difference between having a preference versus letting your guard down and thinking that they're gonna treat you any differently when it comes to family court laws. So I don't pedestalize women at all.
Me, I personally think the question should be, are Black men good enough for Black women? Because honestly, I cannot relate to anything that I've heard or even seen. And I have been to multiple states. I have multiple Black American female friends. I work in the public, I work in the community. Even today, I was in the health department. And from the secretary to the receptionist to the lab techs to the pharmacists to the nurses, the nurse practitioners, the doctors, if you go to the banks that I use, most of them are all professional working Black women that they don't give up all these vibes of what Victor was talking about with hair, nails, and all of those stuff. So I am always in the midst and the presence of excellent Black women, always, every single time. I always see women that are put together. I always see Black American women that look good, that present themselves in the best way possible. I have never come across Black American women or Black women that ever like made me feel like, oh damn, you're a representation of, all the stereotypes. So I don't
Never.
know.
How quickly
Never,
do they take? How
never.
quickly do they take offense versus
Aside
us?
from the ones that I see
Hold on.
online on TikToks, I have never
But
Okay, so
Izzy,
you might be in a good circle, and that's possible because I don't think that anybody is a monolith. So that's possible.
Yeah,
so
so
Izzy,
when I hear
how
these let me just finish. When I hear these conversations, I'm really lost, like genuinely lost, because I'm always in the presence of excellent people. If I go to shows, to concerts, to medical intervention, to just it's always excellent people. My professors, all excellent Black women. Like I'm always confused. So for me personally, that's why I speak highly of the Black American. I'm not saying that the Black American men are terrible people. I've also never come across any like hood Black American men that were disrespectful. They were all very nice. They were very respectful. They were like all like it's kind of like a cultural shock for me, because what I watch and see online is one thing, but then what I experience in person is totally different. So that's why I'm able to be very objective. I feel
Yeah,
like
I
because
mean,
I've
you
never come
probably
across people like that.
your social circles. That's possible because I mean, again, social circles a lot of times is not a reflection of some of the things that you see online. So I mean, I think that that's possible. So I don't have no problem with that. I will say one thing, and I'm so tired of people not acting like it's not true. Um, I think that a lot of Black guys, when they get with some white women, they settle for subpar white women. That if you throw a little
They
bit of
don't even be cute.
They be fat.
if you throw a little bit of melanin on them, they would not be acceptable. I think not all. I'm not even sure if you could say 50-50. I see a lot of Black guys that get with white women that is that that other white guys don't want. I'll put it like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
No.
Sexually
Who said
yeah.
attracted men.
I can do whatever
I think
y'all.
that the best.
But Anton, would you say that there's a sense of okay? So you're right, but would you say that there's a sense of peace that guy might find in that person versus some of the
Rock with whoever you want to rock with. I'm
Equal
just
okay?
saying
self-esteem.
Because
that
Equal self-esteem, man. That's it. That's what it comes down to.
you can rock with whoever you want to rock with. But what I'm saying is these chicks be getting married with multiple baby daddies. They be ghetto as fuck sometimes. They be big as hell sometimes. They be very subpar. And for whatever reason, it's like, but she a white woman, so she bring me peace. And it's like, nah, get the fuck out of here. I'm not going.
It's not because she's white.
And they also cosplay the whole Black woman with the long nails. I'm sorry, Megan, but like with the long nails, lashes, and all of those things. Like you see those super white women cosplay that and braids and all of those stuff, and then you see the Black men like they're so proud of it, but then they're bashing Black
Well,
women.
hold on. Let me just. I want to give you an example, and this is why I'm an equal accountability smoke giver, right? Let me see if I can find it real quick. Just real quick. Give me a second. So, for example, somebody will say something like this to me. Hold on, I'm sorry, I missed it. Let me see if I can get it up. They say Anton is simping for Black women tonight. Isn't that ironic? Because again, this is the reason why I'm one of the most objective people. Apparently, you missed the first part of the show. Because again, two things can be true at the same time. It's not simping when you call a spade a spade. I absolutely 100% held women accountable on both sides. See, again, I don't pedestalize no woman at all. Black, white, none of that. I think that everybody need to be held accountable. Men need to be held accountable. Everybody need to be held accountable. Now, I don't believe that everybody is a monolith. And so again, that's why I say if it don't apply, then let it fly. But just because I'm not sucking up to a fucking white woman don't necessarily mean that I don't hold black women accountable too. And so it is what it is. It is what it is.
Lawrence, can I ask Lawrence?
I don't simp at all. I just say what it is and I tell it like it is.
Lawrence, can I ask you a question? I think you were asking Anton, like, would a black man that's with a white woman find more peace? You're not alluding to saying that a white woman may be more of a, I guess, qualified candidate for a relationship because she's white?
No. Not because she's white, but when you're white with a black man, you naturally are more curious. You're naturally more understanding. A lot of times these days, it seems as though, right? I've seen some examples of situations. A lot of black women are trying to fight their men, their black men, right? There's a lot of there's not as much respect as much, but I feel like naturally another culture. Yeah, naturally, another culture is naturally curious, naturally is open-minded, naturally has to think a little bit outside the box. Not saying that black women don't think outside the box. I have a black wife. She does think outside the box. But naturally, you have to be, just because of stereotypes, how people will look at you and different things. So if you have the courage to be with one, if you have the courage to be with a black, then naturally, usually your mindset's just a tiny bit different. You look at things different. You ask more questions. You're a bit more intuitive. You're a bit more curious. Naturally, doesn't mean a black woman can't be. It just naturally you have to be to survive in that relationship. And then a lot of men I know that are with white, they're thriving, and these white men they're thriving. I mean, so that's what I mean in that way. It's not because she's white. It's because a different culture, a different skin tone usually means the world will look at you differently. So I naturally have to look at things more open-mindedly. I naturally have to ask questions, and I meet more adversity. I naturally have to handle it a little bit better. Right.
Wait. And so in conclusion, you're saying that white women have a cultural norm that yields better results when they date black men?
That's a perfect
person. No. I'm just saying that they're usually, when they walk into a scenario and they go into that scenario, they naturally have had to be more open-minded. Naturally. I'm not saying that they are open, that black women aren't. It's just that you have to have a certain thought process, not care what people think, be open to criticism, be open naturally. But sometimes two people in the same race, I mean, I'm not white, so I don't know, but let's say black people, right? Two people in the same race, something can now shake the tree one day.
What about two white people in the same race?
I'm not white, so I don't exactly know. I'll be honest with you. I can't really speak to that because I don't know the struggle. I just don't. I don't even know how to relate to certain ways.
I'll tell you this: white men was the first passport bros. And different guys of color in the military. White men were the ones that created men going your own way. White men was the ones that started suffering in family court first. White men suffered at the hands of feminism that then recruited black women. So I just need y'all to stop pedestalizing women in general. Not you, panel, but in general. I know that y'all really, really, really want y'all some Pink Panther. I know y'all want that Pink Panther, and that's cool. But come on, stop worshiping these hoes. All of them is cut from the same cloth. A woman is a woman at the end of the day, and they may have some different cultural norms. But I'm gonna need y'all to stop trying to get to the Pink Panther and stop trying to act like they better than they really are. They not. They more poverty stricken. A lot of them is on welfare. A lot of them.
No, you're right. But let me give you an example, Anton. Let me give you a thought though. Let me give you a thought. When I came to America, I'll give you an example. When I came to America, I didn't know any white women or white people that would mimic my accent. It was only black people. That's it. It was only black people that would mimic my accent, but usually that was my experience. My experience. I'm not saying that's for everyone, but the reason why I say that is because there's usually an open mind. Usually they had traveled more. Usually they had been different places. They had seen different things. So that's what my experience was. I just didn't have that. Maybe they were scared. Maybe because I'm 6'6", I could have slapped the hell out of them. I don't know. Right?
Y'all,
So,
let me make an announcement. Y'all gotta stop spamming the chat. We got y'all the first 7 times. If you keep spamming and copying and pasting because you really want to be noticed, AO, what is his name? AO said you're a 53-year-old white boy. I get it, bro. We can't see your profile picture though. You must be gay.
Call them out.
You got that profile picture. I need y'all to stop. Can't spam, bro. All right. Anybody that spams, y'all can say pretty most of what y'all want, but you can't spam. All right. You mess it up the environment for everybody else that want to put some stuff in.
And I will say this, Anton, what makes me hood? Before we leave,
You ghetto.
how am I ghetto? What make me ghetto? Damn, like when it's
how you communicate, all of that stuff. You're just a little ghetto.
a little ghetto. I like to say that I'm maybe a little country, but I don't think that it's ghetto because I speak coherently. I use words in my age bracket. Okay, my vernacular is very broadened. I don't think that I'm ghetto, and I'm offended by that.
You shouldn't be offended.
Well, yeah, because that's about the 4th time you done said something. What is it?
You don't think you ghetto?
No, I don't need to think it, honey, because I know I'm not ghetto. Now,
and that's all that matters is how you feel about yourself. Then
yes, it does.
But the value of something is based off of what somebody is willing to pay for it. So
exactly, which is why
you can say that's not even applicable as far as relationships. That ain't even what I'm talking about. You so busy trying to talk about how you got a man. I know you got a man. Cool. I love that for you. That's what Q say. I love that for you. But the other side of it is just that if everybody else is observing you when they say, yo, you're a little ghetto, I might not be that far off, is all I'm saying.
Well, who else is saying it? Only you have said that.
Okay, you right. I got you.
I love her.
Anybody think I'm ghetto?
Yeah.
Got it. They're not going to tell you.
Yes, they would. This is the panel. This is the after hours. This is America. We could say whatever we want.
This ain't after hours. This ain't after 12.
Oh, well, you know what?
They're not gonna tell you that you ghetto. So
yes, they will. Yes, they would.
I think that you are just very, very country, southern.
Thank you. And there's a difference.
The chat is answering your question, Dalen.
And I don't look, child. Y'all got a lot of demons in that chat. Even though I love the chat monsters, I love y'all. Even the hate and the love. That's all it means when they send hate messages. They just love me. They just don't know how to do it right. But that's okay. I'm gonna teach y'all.
Anybody else?
Sorry, I just wanted to say that if you look at the kind of women that the black men go for versus the kind of women that the kind of men that the black women go for in, either white, Asian, or a different race, there is a clear difference. Like it feels like the black women actually go with someone top class or people of stature and of their standard, while the black men have to settle with
Oh, you said black women go with top class people?
Top class white men versus the black men that are picking.
Because they go for the money. That's what.
Wait. You saying when they date out that black?
Yeah, when they date out. Yeah.
Oh well, but somebody said it. I think somebody said it. But when black women don't date out nearly at the rate that black men.
I said that earlier.
It's because black women had some sort of undying loyalty to black men, and I think that now they are more open to exploring and finding people that value them outside of their own race of men. So that's why I feel like in the coming years it's obviously going to skyrocket because
I don't think so.
They are finding men that value them from other races, and they are able to explore that. So
listen, if y'all can get it, then get it. Then
yep,
do what you got to do to be loved or whatever. I mean, now a lot of y'all starting to date each other. So
yep.
And black men are dating black
men marry behavior.
Yeah,
man.
but it's funny because black women dating black women has the highest divorce rate, even higher than heterosexual couples. I think it's like a 75% clip.
Yep.
Something like
That's
that.
just across all lesbian relationships. So like lesbian relationships,
they aren't lesbians.
They're kind of toxic. So like they're all like
Y'all can't even get along with each other.
It's the truth.
And you know, ironically enough, and I hate the whole zesty conversation, but men that are in a relationship with men, they actually have the lowest divorce rate. As wild as that sounds.
Yep.
Black men?
Yep.
No, I don't know about black. I don't know about black men. I'm saying men in general, which is very. I don't like this part of the conversation, but it is what it is. Men have the lowest divorce rate. Heterosexual couples are in the middle, and lesbians have the highest divorce rate. And they have something else in there. Lesbians not only have the highest divorce rate, they have the highest domestic violence rate.
Of course. That's usually what leads to the divorce is all that ass whooping that be going on. I had
They
a lot
have
of
the highest domestic violence rate. So how do y'all explain that?
If you take men out of all women's problems, you'll see how women have major problems with each other.
Why are you speaking on the women topic though?
Yeah, I was just gonna say from the bull daggers and the dykes that is that offensive?
No,
I hope it's not. Let's just say
it's real.
I'm sorry.
No, it's
but
real.
the reason why I separated because you have like feminine looking lesbians, then you have ones that take down and it's just identity issues. But I will say that most of them that I have known, they always beat each other. They beat each other in private, they do it in public, they slap each other. And I don't really think that most of these women that are in these homosexual relationships, somebody's not gay. Some of the time it's trauma, and they are deviating from men, especially the ones that are taking their breasts down, trying to hide that they got a fat behind, and trying to take on the persona like a man, and they're not supposed to be together, and that's why they end up. And then women, period, think that they can hit people and get away with it. So,
but what about the men that also tape their stuff down to look like women in the?
Well,
we don't care about them.
Yeah, we were talking about same-sex relationships versus transgender men.
But I'm not speaking about trans. I'm speaking about like in two male relationships. There's one that's obviously more feminine.
Those men don't matter.
Yeah, I heard you say tucking, so that's why I mentioned
those
trans.
men don't matter.
No, yeah, they're obviously more feminine. Like there's always like a more feminine and a more masculine one in
the men don't matter.
Two male relationships.
I think they can open their booty up very masculine like, right?
Look at all of the concessions you got to make. The fact that there's so much adjustments and caveats, you know what I'm saying, shows you that that's not a desirable man, And when we start talking about this stuff, because going back to the original point, it was like, what's up with the conflict between men and women, right? And men not being dateable or whatever, right? Am I capturing that correctly? Well,
women
why black women are not good enough for black men?
Because men marry behavior, and we want to keep overdiagnosing these symptoms of the issue instead of talking about the cures that deal with the source. The source of the conflict is a lack of respect for men by women that were not raised with fathers in their homes. Fatherhood impacts and makes women more compatible for healthy relationships with men. Dalen, at the beginning of the show, you spoke about the Mexican Americans refusing to learn English or assimilate to the U.S. culture and speak English, right? Well, the same analogy applies as it pertains to how women are unable to transition from transactional relationships with men to transformative connections with black men that father their children or the men that they desire for marriage. You can only have the relationship that your insecurities and self-esteem can afford. Equal self-esteem in a relationship is what puts.
Are you reading from something?
Yeah, I took notes while everything was going on.
Yeah.
Men that can get the women that they want do not pay attention to women that they are not attracted to. Women spend too much time talking about undesirable men when it comes down to relationship options. Women that are sexually undisciplined, value attention from men that placate to women that worship their emotions and vanity. The least desirable women still end up reproducing with the least desirable men while blaming the patriarchy.
But you know what? I think if you spoke to earlier that people not having fathers, like if the fathers stuck around to make sure that their sons and daughters, but then I think I heard you say, well, if you're low level, even when you have these children, you wouldn't be able to teach them what you went your whole life without. Yep. So it's like But maybe if the father still took responsibility, he could learn from his mistakes. He could learn from his poor behavior before you come out.
I'm not gonna
just sit here and say, maybe I can teach you what I wasn't taught. And maybe we wouldn't be having this semantical, cycle of putting in new people to take over the roles that are keeping the Black community regressed and down. So I really look at the issue like
this is why they shouldn't be having kids.
Even with the mother, I look at it this way: if you impregnate the woman and you don't want to be with her, take them damn children with you.
I agree with that.
Take them out my house and raise them. But you know why? Because these men don't want these children.
Because
I get the super chats, y'all.
I agree. Dalen and Izzy, y'all have hit some valid points in this discussion throughout the day. You know what I'm saying? You talked about the sexual discipline piece, Izzy, and then Dalen, you're identifying the symptoms. We keep overdiagnosing. The men that want to be better need to seek mentorship. They need to book Anton. They need to book somebody that does coaching. And then the other part of it is that
therapy.
However it looks, mentorship, therapy, and everything else. But until those men decide to make a personal commitment to be better, then you can't expect men to replicate something that they were not raised by, because they don't have anything to model.
I think
it should be mandatory for them to be better. It should not be an option.
I think
once you get to a certain age, you should be better.
You should, but here's the thing about here's the thing about the word should. Here's the thing about the word.
I know.
Okay.
You can talk. I'm sorry. We gotta get the super chats.
Okay,
sorry, y'all. But Magnitude says Anton Stewart, he perfect. Get off your high horse. Quiet Face says Google Mother's Day spending declining with children losing love. That should be a sign. G-Lock says left my Black baby mama and ain't been with one since. Quinn says we don't date her kind. I don't know. Says Megan on that Shiloh Hendrix time. Quinn again says Jessica. The Big Euro Short says it's not the skin tone, it's the culture. Quinn says Glorilla smack. Eddie B says I agree with your last point, Dalen. Somebody mute. You got to echo. Reese says Loris, I'm guessing you're an African Brit and not a Caribbean Brit. I can tell off the bat from your talking points and your vibe. You just happy to be here. Don J says mimosas and hood rat stuff is what they like, what they love. Shout out to Cam for sending the $50 ball. No. You don't get approached by the riffraff. That's the point. Y'all dating like men. Quantity versus quality. That's why y'all view askew. You aren't supposed to be approached by most men. You looking for a specific man. Anton, keep rocking. I'm out. Quentin, Megan, you hungry? The Big Euro Short says you talking real big with that hat on, Izzy. The Big Euro Shorts again. Put that hat off and show me the real you. Crash out, highly educated doesn't mean she's a wife. Quinn says, how about everyone take your makeup off and see what y'all really look like? No? Okay. Reese Anderson says, white women have a history. Pictures this is Black women, slavery, were willing lovers to white men and inherited some of their property once they died. Rage King Leo says, most Black Americans, I don't know who's that. Rage King Leo says, most Black American women look like clones. Dr. Umar voice gave me the nappy head chocolate bunnies over any other woman. Coach Q says, hey, Izzy, where Izzy come from? You single? G-Lock says, I'm not talking white women. Caribbean, African, Latinas, cultural different. Reese says, y'all need Tommy Sotomayor on this show, Anton Simpin. Leland Brown says, a Black woman can treat a Black man with honor, uplift with love, and trust a Black man's leadership. Not out of weakness, but power. I know because I chose a beautiful Black wife who does all the above for this thugner. Quinn says, my vernacular is broad, not broadened. Jeesh, Dalen. Unbiasedly Raw says, that IG is ratchet. Ghetto adjacent, Dalen. Tabitha says, do white women push marriage requirements better than Black women when it comes to dating Black men? Reese says, all you need to do is watch a Jamaican pop the balloon or a Black American one, and you can see how Black women value Black men. It's deep-rooted with them. Crash Out or Cash Out says, not having a choice doesn't mean loyalty. Mako says, Dylan fine as F, but she ghetto. Logan says, Izzy fine, but she's exhausting as F. Hey, Jerry. Hey, Q. Hey, Logan. And Kane says, the Black woman that dates or marry white men don't have kids that they bring into the marriage, but they want a Black man to accept them as a baby mama. Blue Collar Traveler says Izzy must have never been to the post office, DMV, or fast food counter. Quentin says, why are you reading like that if you wrote it? Reese says, even Dylan took white meat. Don't trust none, y'all hoes. JoJo says, all the sassy attitude stops with white men. They don't want to prove the angry Black man woman stereotype to be true, so Black women are on their best behavior. Quentin says, grooming is a thing too. The 6-foot Aquarius says, Izzy, when you bought that hat, flash, and wig you're wearing, was it a one piece? Andre says, these women call the cops when you put your foot down. I don't know, says, saying she not ghetto calls children. Lola says, Dylan is what we call bughetto down south. And Tukara says, Dylan not ghetto. She cute, funny, and country. We with her cute Yosemite Uncle Sam hat. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. Except the super chats. We appreciate you guys. We're going to go through each person and they can shout out where people can find them. Go ahead, Todd. Where can the people find you?
And my handle on everything. I appreciate y'all, Todd. I'll see you guys next panel. Thanks, Q.
Thank you, Todd, for joining.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Go ahead, Victor.
You can find me on Accountable Masculinity University on my YouTube channel. I also got a book that's available for purchase on Amazon, and it's about identifying the disciplined man in you, and it's based on 5 principles. You should check it out. For a lot of the men and women that probably have trouble translating effort, characteristics, and character, and distinguishing attention from attraction, it's a great book to have. And for a man to isolate himself and make himself a little bit more, less accessible by the wrong women, you know. So that's where you can find me.
Got a book.
Hey,
thank you, Vic. Jared, where can these men find you at?
That's my Instagram, but don't find me.
Don't find me, find God. Okay, is he? Is he?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, don't follow me. Don't find me. You guys are anyways. And I don't have any makeup on. This is just my skin. Thank you.
Tell him about it. Tell him about it. Megan, do you want the people to find you or not?
You're on mute, Megan.
You're on mute.
I'm good. I got it.
Yeah, you got it.
Sorry, I'm like fucking kid everywhere. You can find me at Mego MEGGO 8 1988. No, I'm sorry, 1988 H. Sorry.
Thank you, Megan. Go ahead. Louise.
Oh, me, Lowers, yeah. Yeah, that's my YouTube, Lowers. I talk about mindset mastery and marriage, do some reaction stuff. I've got my other Instagram stuff, but it's on a whole different niche. So I don't want to bother bringing it in there. Some money stuff I got going on, but you know, I'm building it out. My YouTube channel, I'm going to be building that to 100K, a million plus. So feel free to follow me, man, to hear more of my mindset on marriage mastery and you know, just doing some great things. Also, I'm a big proponent of, you know, childhood emotional neglect and helping kids understand, and people that are grown up understand, you know, some of what her childhood emotional neglect could have done on you and could help you grow and build in other areas of life. So that's something I love to talk about too. So look forward to following me on there to get that mindset too.
Thank you, sir. Another super chat came in. Displays your IG, but says, don't find me as dumb as F. Shout out to Gwen. Go ahead, Dylan. Where can the people find you?
Y'all can find me on Instagram or in these Houston streets. I ain't gonna tell you where in Houston. I'm in Houston, but you can find me. My Instagram is below Tenderoni. That's with zeros. I'm not a content creator. I just make content. So send your love and your hate. Lesbians, dykes, bull daggers, gay men. It don't matter. Come on, send your love down to Tenderoni's Instagram.
Okay, thank you. Marvel Bishop, where can the people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Marvel Bishop. I'm a luxury concierge host there based in Miami. So if you guys want to have the best experience, come to Miami. I'm your guy.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining the panel. You guys, we are out. Tune into the Millionaire Morning Show mañana. Till next Monday. Adios, you guys. If you're interested, hit me up in the DMs. Say panel. Fellas, it's a wait list. Bye, guys.
Hey, folks, I appreciate y'all hanging out, and I hope you enjoyed the show. That was great. Appreciate Anton Daniels and Alan Gal Q for reaching out for me to be on the panel. But that's how it's done, man. I'll see you guys later. Welcome to Beyond the Algorithm.